Hello, hello. There we go. Very good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to another live stream with me, 320 SimPilot. Today, very exciting. We are doing our first sector with BMI Virtual, the new virtual airline from the team who brought you Virtual Dan, or VDAN as they call it, which is a collection of retro UK airlines. BMI is a key one of those, so has been given its own virtual airline. This, from my understanding from the team, is going to be run slightly more correctly in terms of accuracy than VDAN, which offers a bit of flexibility for those of you who want to fly different aircraft, but this one is slightly more specific, but there we go. Although I am actually not setting a good example today, as obviously we're using a CFM Airbus. BMI had IAE, I believe, exclusively, but I'm not 100% on that. But there we go. Today's flight will be from London Heathrow over to Vienna, so pretty standard sort of route, plenty of time to chat on the way. The aircraft is here at what was Terminal 1 but is now Terminal 2 effectively for this sector, because the BMI would have been set off from Terminal 1. Jumping into the chat, great to see you all here. Sorry it's been a little while since the last stream. I wanted to get focused in on that podcast and get it sorted, so I spent a bit of time off to make sure I got that done, which was great fun. So that is now online. If you haven't heard or listened to it, you can find it on Spotify. It's called From Flight Level 320, or I think if you just search 320 SimPilot, you'll find it. It's also on the YouTube channel for now, and you can get an RSS link if you want to add it to whatever player you happen to like. But yeah, good day to you on YouTube. Chickpoint, I hope you're doing very well. Great to have you join us. Igloo as well. Andy H1302, one of the masterminds behind BMI Virtual and VDAN, says, good afternoon, welcome to BMI Virtual. We have modelled the virtual airline on the 2011-2012 pre-closure schedules for the initial launch. There you go. So BMI, of course, has closed. It closed in 2012. I say closed, it became part of British Airways. So that's where it ended up. But yeah, so it was unusual being a Heathrow-based airline, or pretty much exclusively. You know, there's not so many of those around actually, but there we go. So I really like this livery we're in, by the way. This was their last livery and I think it was very nice. However, there are plenty of more retro ones available which we'll try out in the future, but I did like this one and I wanted to fly it particularly. Crash Ed, hope you're doing well. Ed likes livery as well, excellent. Medris, nice, good to see you. Martin Scov, I hope you're doing well. BMI stands for British Midland. Quite why, I'm not entirely up to date on why they were named like that. J-Dog, hope you're doing well. Nick K, Graham, Gary, Uglufu, I think I said hello to... Oh no, I think we've been joined by a fellow BMI by the looks of things, as it sort of merged perfectly into us. And there come the wheels. Hayden J. Robbins, hope you're doing well. Captain Wazza, good evening to you. Captain Wazza is loading up the Embraer 135 for the flight from Edinburgh. BMR Ops, looking forward to welcoming a few of you to BMI. There you go, Captain was another mastermind behind this virtual airline. We've also got a very kind, thank you Ed for the very kind £3.20 super chat. I see what you did there, of course. And Ed says, congrats on the podcast, thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Ed. Yeah, we'll talk about the podcast on the way, and what I want to do with it and what we might do next with it. But yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate it, Ed. And I'm glad you enjoyed the podcast. It's very kind of you to say, because it was I was quite nervous putting that one out there, a bit different. Stuart Rogers likes to be in my livery as well. There we go. Byron, hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us live. Rivers, good to see you. Lauren V, thanks for coming along and moderating. And he says CFMs on the Phoenix are fine until they bring out IEE. There we go. That's the line. The boss's line for now, so that's what we'll go with. So I am allowed to do this. Now, I'm not sure what's going on here. I think these are go-arounds. I think FS Traffic is sending a lot of aircraft around, because I've been sitting here and quite a few have gone over my head. But I think they're doing the wrong route there, because it obviously wouldn't fly over the terminal. But anyway, Adam, good to see you. Stephen as well. I hope you're doing well. Stephen's going to fly along. Excellent. I hope it goes well. So a bit of hard work by James has meant that we should now have available, yes we do, a BMI livery. So this was a bit of work. James has been working really hard. We're trying to get Manta Airlines to appear in its various forms in Flight Simulator using FS Traffic, and this was the first bit of success I've seen. James has worked very hard and has almost cracked it, I think, but so far this is a construction of getting the right liveries in the right place and the right BMR files and so on. But there we go, we have BMI, which is not included in FS Traffic because it does no longer exist, but there we go. So that is great success. I know that's not the perfect livery, but that was for the original default Asobo A320. So yeah, very happy with that. But there we go. James Atkinson says, "Hi, Sim Pilot. Woo, I'm sat next in a BMI." Excellent. Well done, James. I know you've worked really hard on that, and it looks great. So thank you so much. Over on Twitch, thanks for joining us. Those of you there, MSJN, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. MSJN flew with British Midland once when they were a kid. There we go. It's a common nostalgic airline in the UK. I think a lot of people liked it a lot, actually. Very good to see you. Four Prawns as well. I hope you're doing very well. Thanks for joining us. MSJN says, podcast was cool. Would be nice to have it on Apple Podcasts as well, if that's possible. Now, Apple Podcasts, I have been trying, but the verifications and steps and the difficulty in getting it set up quite as I want is stopped me for now, but I will keep trying. RHM asks, can the MFD be popped out for use on different screens? I have not tried that. I keep everything on one screen because I stream, so I'm not the right person to ask, I'm afraid. But there you go. Dougal says, you hold down the right Alt key and click. There you go. Thanks, Dougal, and good to see you. I hope you're doing well. And D gone. Right, let me merge the chats. We are going to get underway soon. It's a fairly reasonable flight time down to Vienna. Like I say, there is time to chat on the way. G-Point says, I love the colour blue on this livery. Yeah, me too. Lee says, listened to the podcast last night. Enjoyed it very much. Looking forward to the next one. Yeah, great. Oh, what's happened there? Okay, I'm still connected. Maybe James has moved. James is still back. There we go. What was BMI Baby? So, they're included in BMI Virtual is BMI Baby and BMI, what was it called? I'm so sorry. This is embarrassing. Let me bring it up. There's basically three different parts of the airline. BMI Regional, of course. So they operated smaller Embraer 135, 145 regional jets. BMI Baby operated 737s. And then BMI Mainline, as it would be called, I suppose, operated 320s. But they had a whole host of aircraft. Been around since the 60s as an airline. So it was a long time running, actually. It's quite surprising. And they flew all sorts of crazy airplanes, C-47s, C-4s, 707s. So you forget, certainly it's easy to forget quite how big or long-running and extensive British Midland had been. Call sign for today will just be Midland. And that is, call sign will be Midland, and we're taking G Mid-S today. Great. So let's jump into the aeroplane. Now, I've left it I've set it up as it would have been during a turnaround. As it's a bit of a longer flight, I figured we'll get ourselves underway. So I will just make sure I'm on the right page for streaming. Thank you again, Ed, for the very kind tip. Really appreciate it. Andy says, for X-Plane, VATSIM uses the BMI liveries, the Bluebell CSL package, so you don't have... just lost that. So you can see other company aircraft without any modifications. There you go. Yeah, excellent. Right. Lauren says, confused the poor German controllers when I flew with the Midland school sign once. Yeah. Yeah, that happens. We do that a lot on this channel. George says, was going to fly along, but my fiance has recently discovered the Hogwarts game, and I now share my gaming PC with her. So here I am on the sofa. Things you do for love. Oh, well, at least you're with us in spirit. So thank you, George, for coming along. So I'm just going to import it from SimBrief. So this is the same. Now, why? Oh, yes, because I'm using real time. Yeah, that's right. Okay. I know what I need to do. I need to do Pegasus as well. So what is the current time? Now, of course, I've reversed time to have daylight. We did a night flight last time, I think. So 12:39. So let's get going by 13:10 in 31 minutes. Perfect. Here's the departure. So look at that. It's going to be easterly runways out of Heathrow today. 6 degrees. It's cold. Yeah, it is cold in the UK today. We're going into Vienna, who are sitting with 9 knots from the north, so we know which runway to expect there. 1 degree there, that's typical. It's quite high elevation. Great. And there's no Digi ATIS at the moment for Heathrow, interestingly. I thought there would be a controller here. Heathrow seems to be less controlled than Gatwick. Let me just check. Yeah, Gatwick's always got somebody, but Heathrow, no. I think VATSIM has special requirements for Heathrow, I think. And maybe that's what makes it less likely to be controlled. Anyway, there we go. There's our route. You can put exclamation mark route into the chat, and I hope it will work for you. Let me see. Yeah, I'm ready for springtime as well. I agree. It's getting cold again. Like, we had really warm weather a couple of weeks ago, and it's just dropped into ice cold again in the UK. I say ice cold, still above zero, but so I shouldn't whinge. Right, so that is the route. Let me just check. Cloudbot is awake. Should be awake for you. So if you'd like anything, you can put exclamation mark BMI into the chat, and you won't get a readout of your body mass index. Indeed, you'll get hopefully a link to join BMI Virtual if you'd like. At the moment, if you use Microsoft Flight Simulator, there's only the A320 available, I believe. It's a bit more limited, but that will change as more aircraft arrive, obviously. In particular, things like the Aerosoft A330. Good. So let's go to ground services. We've got GPU, chocks, forward stairs. Typical sort of turnaround on as a remote stand, we would call this, where we haven't got people haven't got a jet bridge. Planned 123 passengers to take today, and we're going to go with 8.3 tons of fuel, which is what we want. So I'm going to load the aircraft. Let's do it in real time today. I think we've got time. So that's now loading. Great news. Done panel states. Let me just check what fit this aeroplane is. I've been caught down a few times recently. CPL Nobby says, hi there from a real ex-BMI dispatcher. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the stream. You can tell us what we're getting wrong. So I'm going to have a DDRMI. I think this is an old aeroplane. We'll have not metric standby out. We'll have the analog standby instruments. Yeah, that's more like it. We're going to have auto TCAS because it's... No, we wouldn't actually, let's be honest. Although that can be modified onto any aircraft now. We won't have FLS. We will have AC essential auto switching because that was modified for pretty much all airplanes. We won't have ice detection. We will have brake fans. We will have nav in the go around, but we won't have LDEV. There you go. This will be a typical config. And let's put this down to 1,000. Cabin lights, cabin visibility. Yeah, controls. Independent. Barrow. Yeah, let's have it. I keep forgetting you can do that. Auto door, jetty. That's fine. Incremental flash handling. I'm not going to fiddle with that. Radar callouts. Yeah, fine. Distance. Feet. Hectopascals. Kilograms. Perfect. Okay, so that's loading up. Let's run through a bit of our flow. So we've arrived at the aircraft and we have to do some pretty basic things. We're on mid-S today, SSG Phoenix, but we're on the noise of FS traffic. I really hope they can sort that out. So some of this will be VATSIM and some of this will be FS. There we go. But we are indeed on mid-S, G mid-S. Hopefully everyone has different call signs today. So there's a good point because I did just file through VMI Virtual, but I think I'm probably the only one as it's so new. But there we go. Nobby says, my main role was to balance the aircraft for the flight deck. There you go. Excellent. Now why? That's an interesting little ECAM message there. It's something to do with the way I loaded up the airplane, I'm sure. Anyway, we will check that the masters are off. Norm, weather radar is off. And yeah, wiper selectors. Batteries are in auto. And yeah, we would have already done the AP fire test. I'm getting confused here. I'm doing a cold and dark start. No, we're not. We are doing the sort of turnaround. So we can go into our... there are a few things you would check in that, things like the weather radar. But there we go. So we're going to our flow. We are in nav. That's great. I'm going to fire up the APU now as we're boarding. Passengers want some air pretty soon. Nobby was Heathrow base as well. Excellent. Well, I think we're next to Terminal 1. Terminal 1's over here, but obviously no longer in use. Interestingly, though, I loaded up Navigraph charts, and it does list Terminal 1. Still written down. But more strange to me, yeah, was that Terminal 1? But yeah, it's not a thing anymore. So we are actually on Terminal 2 on 209. There we go. So APU's on the way. Passenger sign's off because we're fueling, and that's all good. Otherwise, get the fuel pumps on. Do a cheeky engine fire test. Quite like doing those anyway. The list of items you have to do is actually asterisked in the QRH, which I haven't got in front of me right now. But it's much more limited, as you would imagine. It's basically setting the aircraft how you want. But what we do have to check is oil, hydraulics, and oxygen, things that are sort of consumable, to make sure we have enough of those, as well as obviously, like I say, we would have checked the weather radar was off and so on, because the previous crew might have accidentally left something on. Not the end of the world, but yeah, that's what it's all there for. Although this has all changed. It's going around a bit of a cycle at the moment of things changing. Don't they still have offices in the 711B? I don't know. Maybe they do then. Maybe it does still count as a building. We'll align this, which would have been a line from the previous flight anyway, but there we go. We're on QNH 1029. And I think that is the flight pretty much ready to go. These Airbuses are very good at turnarounds. They're just easy. It's great. Right. Data is fine. Init requests. And we'll do the full Fenix thing here. Do the whole deal. Wind's pretty strong. Oh no. Landing on 9 left. Okay, we've probably got huge headwind on the way there. That's normally how it goes on our channel because we're always flying. I know we should have a tailwind today. Hopefully we'll have a tailwind today. There we go. So we're flying to Vienna, alternate of Budapest. So time route 1 hour 56. Yikes. There we go. So in it we are the BMI 427. Cost next. It was set to 0. I've added a ton of extra fuel and I'm going to go for 50. I'm not going at 0 on a flight this long. We'll go at flight level 350. And we have some sort of a route. Now departing. We know they're departing on the 9s. So it's going to be 9 right because Heathrow doesn't take off from 9 left. And then we're going out via, it was Detling. So Detling went Juliet. There we go. Detling over Conan all the way through. Then the arrival. Thanks Alex and Tonvol for the follows. Yeah, let me just grab the arrival, which was Detling. We're going to arrive via Budex 2 Whiskey to 34. RS 34. Yeah, that makes sense. If I put this to plan, we'll actually see what I'm doing. Maybe the Budex. Oh, Budex 2 Whiskey. Let's see if we can find that. There it is. Probably some. That's not right, but we shall sort it out as we go. Yeah. Yeah, okay. But that's fine. The Phoenix is good at sorting these things out. It'll be some hideous arrival like that. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was expecting. These are these modern delaying arrivals. Insert that. Good. So, we're done. Init A. Put the wind in. This is why you can turn these airplanes. So, you know, I've given us 30 minutes from arriving on the airplane, but you can turn these airplanes around in under 30 if there's not too many passengers, especially if you have 2 sets of steps like this. A jetty, no, it won't happen. But yeah, this is where, you know, low-cost operators sit all the time and they have no trouble. I'm using FS Traffic and VATSIM indeed. Right, so we don't need to do the init because it would have aligned. So init A, flight plan, we've done. Secondary, RadNav, nothing required, all RNAV now. Init B time. So this is actually where I'm going to get stuck because we haven't loaded all our passengers. I think, we haven't been sent any messages yet either. Okay, let's just check again if there's any controller. Inevitably they come online. There's a Beacon Hill, unbelievably. But no controller, so we are going to make our own way out. So we're on 209. So let's start running through the brief because we can't do the critical sort of data such as weight and performance yet. So we are here 209. Then we're going to taxi out whichever way. It's going to be quiet. We just have to dodge around FS traffic, but we need to get down here to 09 right. So I will make sure I can figure out a way there. So if we go to airport, so we go along, and then we can just go down here, can't we? And then there we go, 09 right. And then we're going to take off, Detling departure from 9 right, 120 out, and then straight to Detling, which is pretty straight departure, 6,000 feet. We're going to stop at, whoops, 6,000 feet. Speeds to come, weights to come, that's fine. I do know the alternate fuel of 1.4, so I'll put that in for now. And what we can do is, let's just look at our planned, can we see our planned 0 fuel weight? No, but it should match, shouldn't it? It should match from our flight plan. So we're going to bring Alpha 0 at 56.7 was the plan. Let's see if this works. I'm pretty surprised we haven't been sent one. The Phoenix used to send one through in here that we could use. Oh, there it is. It has sent it. Right, so there we go. So let's use that. This is our plan. So we're going to go with 0 at 56.7. Yes, what we had. Max fuel 28.1. Block 8.3. Takeoff weight 64.8. Great. Now we'll go here and we'll load up our departure performance. Thanks, Drum Major. Thanks for coming along. Blue Gyms is one of the best liveries ever. Yeah, it is a good one. Nobby says, I used to do manual load sheets for crews. Most fun was trying to do 2 sector flights. Yeah. 2 sector flights? I'm not sure what that means. Sorry. Right. Taking off. 9. Right. Dry runway. Pretty nice day out there, actually. Optimum. Not toga. Anti-ice off. Packs off, if I remember this time. Now, this is prelim. So we've said 64.8. 65%. So that is above our current weight, Mach 26. So that's all good. Sync live weather. And let's go. Yeah, in fact, Heathrow's got the longest runways in the UK. So we could save ourselves a bit of time. Why don't we go for an in section? We don't normally do that. Let's go from November 6. Let's go down, down, off. That would be great, wouldn't it? So what happens if I do that? I've not actually done many intersections with the Fenix. There we go. And it's calculated it. It does give us a V1 split, even though we're on a huge runway, because of course now the stopping distance is going to be quite limited. But there we go. So we can do that. So that is going to be, I'm just going to write this down, 136, 140, 140. We're going to go flap 1. We're going to go flex 63. Good. So, and it be done. Performance time. No shift. Flaps 1. Flex 63. So I'm not putting a shift in. That shift is actually designed. Oh, I see it says feet, so I should have left it as meters. But that shift is there for aircraft before they had GPS, so it would update the IRSs when you set takeoff thrust. Now, because of GPS, the airplane just aligns itself with that anyway, so you really don't need to bother entering it in. 36, 40, 40. Good. Clean speed of 215, but we haven't got a speed limit. We're going straight ahead on that departure, climbing up to 6,000 feet. Yeah, there you go. Only 250 below 100, so no issues with that. So that is all good. Cool. Constraints, 6,000. How are we doing with the loading? And this is inevitably what happens, as you can see. And this is, you know, with a bit of chatting to you. One pilot would have done the walk around while I did that. And now we're sitting here, and inevitably, this is where you start having to deal with other things, like where are the bags, or this passenger feels a bit ill, or we haven't got the right catering, or whatever else. This is where it happens. But let's go back to our... In fact, let's bring up the... No, I know what we remember. Phoenix. Bring the checklist over here. Lauren Reese says, don't know why, but I had a 21 knot split and no flex prelim. But when I got the final load sheet, the split was only 8 and flex 51. Yeah, strange, unless it's dropped significantly in weight. Right. What I always like to do is just leave the checklist on this side. It's a bit of a awkward workaround, but it does work. Now, something that you do check while we're waiting for the boarding. It's nice, isn't it, to be first time on a stream we've been waiting for something that isn't me. Let's just keep an eye on it. Nearly there. Yeah, so that's a time, so we'll do that. Get rid of the ground power. It's the... And we've got our fuel, actually, so we can get the sides on. It's having this 0. That would be an engineering call. Our levers at 0. The flaps should be at 0. The slats were travelling. Now, the reason for that is because I actually loaded up the airplane and it started up in a sort of running state, and I had the flap lever out by mistake. So on my Thrustmaster TCA thing. So yeah, that's all that is. But we're going to ignore it today because we'll say the engineers have told us it's fine. So we're going to just go with it. But yeah, you can't. That's quite bad. That'd be quite a bad fault to have. Anytime the flaps aren't in the right place, it's a nasty thing for a few reasons, but it could suggest something's blocking them, but it also means they might freeze in flight. quite a scary concept for these aircraft is the flaps becoming asymmetric. I didn't really think about it, but until I learnt to fly the Airbus and learnt on the systems, and there's a thing called wingtip brakes on the Airbus, and the sole job of the wingtip brakes, and you actually see, the stats are ever so slightly out. The wingtip brakes are there so that if the aircraft senses, and it's got a lot of computers sensing this, flaps control, computer controls, or control computers, SFCCs. Anyway, what they do is they're monitoring those flaps and slats very carefully. And obviously it would be a complete disaster if you had flaps on one side and they didn't come out on the other side. So let's say something jammed the system on one side. It's really important that the other side doesn't then just travel out happily, because there might be nothing wrong with it. So there's this system, and if it senses a problem like that, it will actually just jam everything where it is and says, right, nothing's allowed to move anymore. And you're sort of stuck with what you've got. The good thing about that is, of course, you're only moving the flaps at takeoff or landing, so near an airport. On takeoff, you'll have too much fuel and you might be too heavy to return. And on landing, of course, you won't have enough fuel, because you'll then probably have to go around, fix it, and then land. So that's the only downside. But anyway, there we go. Deagle says, would be solved if you started the yellow electric pump. No, you are absolutely right. Yeah. All we have to do, and actually, you do run the blue and yellow when you do the, what I'm talking about here, which is the sort of retraction of the flaps, but you can't run the blue like that. Obviously, you run the blue up here, blue override pump on, yellow pump on, and of course they would travel. You could have just done it on the yellow, and now they'll retract, and there we go. However, like I say, in real life, if they were disagreeing, you'd get an engineer out. So we'll turn those back off. Get rid of that ground power. Nearly there. Let's close up the cargo. Cargo has closed, that's good. Ground power's gone. Let's close up the aft. Let's connect the tug. Things are happening. How do you land without flaps? You fly a bit faster, is basically it. You can get a bit stuck with the flat pitch limit, 10 degrees in 320s, 7.5 in 321s, 10 degrees in 19s. But yeah, you could actually do it. You'd be amazed how, if you only have flaps, it's absolutely fine. If you only have slats, it's absolutely fine. Slats allow you to slow right down, but they do give you a high nose angle on landing. You just fly a bit faster, but you would be really amazed how you can get away without those. The hardest one is obviously no flaps, no slats, i.e. nothing travelled out at all, and that's an awkward position. That's the hardest one, in the sense that you're landing fast, you're going to have a high nose, and you're going to be needing quite a lot of runway. But if you have either the slats or flaps, you immediately don't actually need as much runway as you'd think, and it's quite tame. The Airbus is very good at it. Surprise, surprise. You know, it's once again, the Airbus is just good at these things. I can't stress that enough. Lauren Reed says, would you mostly need the engineer to sign off on it? Wouldn't they do the same thing that you just did? Well, they would investigate why it happened. The point is, I suppose, the checklist item is that they need to match. So this lever needs to match what's on the screen. If they don't, I suppose it could confuse the computers and lead to further faults later on. Engineers would always have to sign off. And the thing with an engineer is, obviously, if they have to come out and work on the airplane, it all has to be logged. If an engineer touched it, even if they're going to do what we just did, they will write it down typically, because it's just to say, well, they came. And also it helps prove, if let's say you're using engineers from a company that are on your own airline, then it might help them prove that they did the work when they come to charge for it. Yeah. Is another thing that will be taken into account. Last passenger, boarding complete. Excellent. Aircraft is loaded. Good. So we can close up, which they have. Oh, it's all coming together. This is great. Absolutely great. So I have terrain on. This is a nice day. What's our status message? I wouldn't. In-op systems Cat 2. Wouldn't expect that right now, so we shall see what happens. Thanks, Casey, for the subscription. MSG says feels very safe. Yeah, there you go. Ah, thank you. Yes, I need to start Pegasus. Thank you, Lauren V. So we are doing this with BMI virtual. We are Midland 427, but absolutely I need to have Pegasus up and running. Well remembered. Thank you. There we go. ACARS. Pegasus is great. And the VAMSys system for these virtual airlines is so good. So simple. Booking, start flight. That's what I need. Departing from stand 209. Excellent. It was 136. Well spotted. So that's why two pilots always do that sort of really important data like this page. So excellent. Thank you. Done that load sheet. We'll get another one in a minute. Right. Let's run through our checklist. So force our checklist. Cockpit prep completed. Barrier ref, we're on 1029, which you know is matching both sides. ACAR's initialized. Park brake is on and set. Fuel on board 8.3, which should be enough even with our increased cost in X. Init B is loaded. Flex temp we're going with 63 from our intersection. Takeoff speeds 36, 40, 40, and then eventually 215. Right. Now we're going to get going on our own. There's no one around, so we'll just put 1228 for Unicom. Idle. And Windows doors closed. Let's get the beacon on. We want it to go by 1310, so we're actually doing all right for time. In sim time, anyway. That should be an auto. That will go. Not that one. That one. Right. Below that line says passenger signs on auto. Beacon on. Transponder is auto, and all doors are closed. Force ejects complete. Heathrow traffic, Midland 427, pushing back from stand 209 to face west.
409, right.
Oh, don't know what happened there, but we're going. Brakes released. Running the clock. 34 minutes after stream start. Not bad.
A320, stand 210, pushed back out, start behind company Midland.
Right, starting up. We'll do 2 engines because we're hoping for a shorter taxi here. Starting 2. Awesome. Let's just sort out. Oh, no, we can't in the Phoenix, can we? Always disappointing. I really hope this changes.
Heathrow traffic, easy 2307, stand 301, pushing back onto Bravo, facing west. Heathrow traffic.
With our BMI colleague. Excellent.
And a Spirit 963 Hotel, we may have cut out earlier there, but we're on the blocks now, logging off for the evening. Thanks so much, everyone. Hope you have a pleasant time. See you later.
You too.
Bye-bye. Cheers.
Heathrow traffic's up at 1208, pushing back, stand 233 onto Kilo.
I said facing west, so let's see if we can make that happen.
Heathrow traffic, Midland 426, pushing back onto Kilo, facing north.
Excellent.
Heathrow traffic, Seabird 28 Tango, stand 543.
Ah, it's a work of art. Now, this is only going to be a partial facing west.
Heathrow traffic, 775 up. Runway 09 November, Bravo 10.
Right, brakes set, starting engine number 1.
Heathrow traffic, Midland 322, pushing back stand 5.
Goodbye to the tug, thank you to them. 320's dancing, yeah. It doesn't happen very often. Right now, James has done a much more successful pushback than me. But it is great to see BMI up and running like this.
Southwest 1208, going to be pushing back, Kilo facing north.
Do airlines run flights together in real life? No, no. Unless there's some special occasion or a launch of a new route or something, they would obviously be staggered. Sometimes, if it's like a really popular weekend charter, maybe like in the ski season, sometimes you'll find them very close together, sort of within 20 minutes. So it does happen. Like this isn't impossible what we're doing here. Especially, let's say you've rostered flights to be within 20 minutes because it's like everyone wants to get there Saturday morning to Grenoble or whatever. But then one's delayed by 10 minutes, which is very easily done. Then this could happen, I suppose. And that... Oh no, what am I doing? Not that one. That's the one. There we go. In the middle. APU bleed off. APU off. Don't need any anti-ice. arm the speed brakes, center the trim, flaps 1, and we'll put our takeoff trim of 26. A little bit nose forward, so we're going to trim it a little bit up. There we go. Now, this checklist I think calls for a whole host of different things. So ground equipment is removed, anti-ice not required, flaps config 1%, it is as we wanted. APU off, yellow electric pump off, trims 26 and 0, cabin doors closed, ECAM memo checked. That is the after checks complete. Next is before takeoff. Let's just sort out this load sheet before we go. Oh, I see, yeah, revisions. So now has the takeoff weight at 64.7, but we ran it at 65. They've changed the trim, so now there's actually fuel 30.8. Now, here's a question with the Phoenix. Has that actually changed? We'll find out. 30.8, which gives us a Mach Tau of 28.6, so that puts the trim back where it was. Oh, not that way. Back to our 0, our classic. And there we go. So that is accepted. Don't need that. Right. Heathrow traffic. Midland 427, taxiing along Bravo, south on Echo for 09 right. That was a total guess. Did I get that right? Yeah, Echo, that's the one.
Traffic, Midland 426, we're going to follow Midland
Clear on the right,
427.
clear on the left.
Heathrow traffic,
Brakes released.
Midland 99, also following company Long Bravo, Echo 409.
Yeah, James always flies long as Manta. So, yeah. And there's another Midlands. Look at that. Excellent.
Heathrow traffic, just pushed back from stand 301, heading for hold at 09 right on Bravo, EC 2307.
Oh, that's a bit much. Don't want to rev the engine to 50, really. Here's the old Terminal 1. Looks quite futuristic in its own way. Let's do a brake check. It's all good. And let's do flight controls. Full up. Full down. Neutral. Full left.
Traffic, Midland 322,
Full right. Neutral. We'll say we've done the rudders.
Bravo, link 51.
I'll put the...
8.
We don't need the radar for this departure. It's absolutely great. Put TCAS to TRA. Auto brake to max. Takeoff config. Yes, we do want predicted wind shear. Good. And we'll go with the before takeoff checklist. If I can just read it over there. Flight controls are checked. TCAS is TRA. Departure brief is... Let's just make sure we confirm that. We're going straight out on Detling. We got the line there. Climbing up to 6,000 feet. Cleaning up as we go. We'll return on to 9 left if we need to. We are at a fairly good weight, but below our
on Kilo,
maximum
how long do you
landings.
expect to be there?
Yeah, pretty good. So, takeoff data at FMA, we've got 3640, climb there for 1 FD2, 6,000. Got our flex of 63, config 1%. Oh, there we go. And
London traffic, speedbird.
takeoff data at FMA, we've done. Flaps config 1%. ECAM memo, takeoff, no blue.
Via Bravo, link 58.
It's down to line. Now we're looking to go left at Echo. Thanks, Thomas Aviation, for the follow. Does the weather radar work in the Phoenix? I've never understood how to use it. Yeah, it's not. None of the weather radars in any of the sims work particularly well, I'm going to say. Yeah, well, James please has worked. Agreed. Well done, James. Absolutely brilliant. Ah, so that's a is that a Speedbird? Yes, good call. I thought that was FS traffic getting in the way there.
A-firm, EZ2307. Are you taking full length or intersection for 09 right?
I'm going to go up to November 11 and watch all you take off, and I'll follow you en route. EZ2307. So go ahead of me.
That's great, thanks. We'll take November.
I don't know what's going on with my thrust levers.
Midland 322.
Not happy about that. Going way. I'm moving mine to the right position, but they are asymmetric like that. Oh, I've just messed things up there. So the flight director's off. And on. There we go. Climb there 152, 3640, 6,000, flexing 63. It's all returned. And he says, we're considering a VATSIM Heathrow overload where we all choose a flight and arrive back at base in 30 minutes of each other as our first event. Yeah, that could be good fun.
Heathrow traffic speed bus 28 Tango, taxiing.
Right, Echo, which I think was the second one here. That's going to take us down to number 6. There's the easy. Yeah, this is a great livery. No doubt. Thanks, John Major, for the subscription.
Easy 2307. I'm holding short of Bravo. We'll give way to the 2 British Midland aircraft. And taxiing ahead for 09 right.
So easy there is going to give way. So I'm going to call up their intentions then. Heathrow traffic, Midland 427, taxiing Echo to November 6. Right. And he says, need to give ATC many Midland call signs. That's it. Announce its arrival.
Heathrow traffic.
Now, I'm going to imagine that we are allowed to line up.
Midlands 999, to Echo 6.
James is going to do that more than a few times over this flight. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough swapping call signs.
Heathrow traffic, speedbird 950 Mike, pushing back down 565.
Wow, big plane, big plane. Now, what I should have done this whole time, of course, is head tracking. Unbelievable. I'm terrible for remembering that. Oh, another big plane. And a little plane. Right, so the lights are all on. Still, I'll check this below the line. Take a runway, it's going to be 9 right. Strobes are on. Pack's going off. Yes, we remember today.
Heathrow traffic, speedbird 712 Tango, stand by 34, pushing back on Bravo.
Right, we're ready to go.
Heathrow.
Easy's very kindly waiting for us. Now, what traffic is down there? I'm hoping it's FS traffic. There's a version on the other side. It looks busy. Ooh, we might have to judge this carefully. Has anyone... I haven't heard anyone called up for a lineup. I can see another... Is that another Midland already there?
Heathrow traffic, speedbird 7.
There's people on final.
They're pushing back.
I'm going to have to do the responsible thing here
Facing south.
and stop at November 6.
Midland 322, Vienna November Bravo 10, lining up at 09 right.
Ah, there's Midland going from... There you go.
Midlands 999 to EasyJet, thank you for waiting.
No problem. Easy 2307. You can show me how it's done and I'll follow you.
James has been very polite there, and I totally forgot to say anything. So thank you to the EasyJet if you are watching. Now, we've caused a complete blockage here. So the question is, there's a go around there. Midland's lining up.
Today, EasyJet flight waiting for everybody. You can go ahead of the Speedbird once this BMI goes ahead of you.
Thank you. Wilco.
Okay.
I'll follow the third BMI. Thank you, Speedbird.
So hopefully...
Heathrow traffic, Speedbird 16 for the established one.
Now, this traffic will hopefully be FS traffic.
Midland 322, taking off 09 right.
There's been a 322. Great. This traffic should be FS traffic, so we can disregard that. Heathrow traffic, Midland 427, November 6, lining up behind the departing BMI A320 09 right. Dan Voser, thanks so much for your $3.17 tip. Really appreciate it. Dan Voser says, hello there. I'm a big fan of your videos and streams. They're just perfect. For example, the tutorial of the Fenix saved me so much time. One more thing. Could you explain the green, blue, and yellow pump and how the system works and what it means? That's so kind of you. Thank you very much, Dan Voser. Glad you've enjoyed the videos. Do please ask that question again in the flight. We'll have plenty of time in the cruise to talk about it. I can only apologise. I don't have time right now. But yes, great question. And I'm glad you've enjoyed the videos. And thank you so much for the very kind tip. Brakes released. Lights are on. We are lining up. Heathrow traffic, Midland 47, lining up via November 609 right. But yeah, thanks so much, Dan Voser. Really, really appreciate the tip. And I will answer that once we're underway. Oh, it's gone a bit uphill.
Heathrow traffic, Speedbird 16.
These airplanes do not like getting uphill. Oh, these thrust levers, what's happened? I need to recalibrate them. I don't know what's going on. They're way out of sync. First officer's here just in time. Hello.
Midland 322, passing 1 power for 6,000 Delta 1 Juliet.
Right.
Midland 322.
We're going to do a rolling takeoff then. We've got our packs off as we were preparing for. A380 is out the way. Midland 47, Heathrow traffic, taking off 09 right, November 6. So we'll do this. Now, this yellow line isn't exactly a line-up line because you can see it's more of a vacating line. So I'm going to come over here. You have to be careful doing this in case there's runway lights, but there we go. Oh, my frame rates are really, really brutal here.
999 to previous
Starting the clock. Half side stick.
First, or shall I line up behind?
50%.
Yeah, I'm lining up behind you because I'm behind you. I can't go through you.
2 clicks.
If you're the guy in front of you on November 6th, November 46.
Not sure what happened there. So we go Mantoga, SRS runway. All the thrust is on the blue. It didn't engage, but that's no problem. We'll just go Toga.
We'll follow you.
100 knots, stick to neutral. It's a bit breezy today. V1, rotate. Letting it weathercock into wind, positive climb, gear up. And away we go. Yeah, breezy. The right turn now, getting our lever climb message, so bringing the thrust levers back 2 clicks. Thrust.
Redlands 99, taking off runway 09.
This is because they're not.
London Heathrow traffic with a 2281 inbound on the ILS runway 9 left.
Something very odd.
Downwind.
Yeah, they're totally out of sync here. I know what's going on now. Thrust climb, auto thrust. Lever symmetry, right. There we go. Thrust climb, auto thrusts. We're getting there. Let's get an autopilot in, as we're having a few problems here. Oh, wrong one. There we go. Above the S-speed, flap 0. Disarm the ground spoilers. And
Easy
nose lights.
2307, holding November 6, 409 right. We'll line up after the departing British Midland aircraft, Easy 2307.
Awesome.
Traffic
Right.
46, taking out 090.
Packs, of course. Doesn't take much, you see. This is the thing with the packs off takeoffs. Doesn't take much, and that goes out the window. Master caution, air pack 2 off. We give it 10 seconds between the packs, and then pack 2. Not a big deal. But there we go. On the way. Thrust climb, nav. Out blue 6000.
November 10 for 09 on right via Alpha.
250 knots. Gear is up. Flat 0. Excellent.
Going base flag for ILS 29 left.
Look at that. A busy Heathrow today. We've got out.
Heathrow traffic, Super 712, Tango, taxi runway 0.
Great fun having all the BMIs. Really cool. Really cool.
For Alpha.
There's speed out star.
Heathrow traffic, British Airways 696.
Why? I don't know what's happened to my thrust levers. I just need to recalibrate them in here, but we'll do that later. Shouldn't have to touch them now, being an Airbus, until we get there, and we'll just idle them. So what happened on takeoff then was they obviously, because I felt my hardware once click into what I know was the flex gate, and it didn't work. And they must have been sitting, I think they're probably sitting below climb actually. We can test that later actually, but there we go. Right, let's carry on up.
For the Speedbird holding November 11, do you want to line up after this?
We're going to fly over 350. Oh, we got so nice to have so many people fly along. It's going to be a mission for them all to get off the ground now, because Heathrow.
Heathrow traffic, Speedbird 16, taxiing.
I hope they manage. Oh, that's, these are some big freezes. Yikes. Standard, finally. Thrust climb, open climb, out blue 350. Let's go through after takeoff. Landing gear is up. ECAM. Checked. BRF standard. After takeoff, flight checks complete. MS Jane says BMI isn't getting good technical reputation here. No, maybe not. Right, we are underway.
999 is flight level 60, climbing to flight level 350.
Oh, James is going to try and overtake us here. So much traffic. We're doing well, we're doing well. Beautiful. I think unusually we're right at the front. Oh no, there's that BMI in front of us. We're at the front of the queue, or near the front of the queue of our traffic going on this route. Let's see. We'll find out shortly when I refresh VATScope. So we're the 427. Behind us, already in the air, is the Easy. Is the Midlands. Is the 999. Oh, they've done well. And us. So we need to stay fast, actually, to stay in front. So in light of that, we are accelerating 325, which is an amazingly fast climb speed. We'll get rid of the lights. Passengers can walk around now. It's pretty nice out there. We don't need any constraints.
Traffic Midland 426, 6,000 feet climbing flight level
And
350 on the Det 1 to the
quick fuel check, 7.5 plus 700. Yeah, puts us about 8.3. Fuel's doing good. We're on airports. Probably go to airports, frankly. And away we go. Great. Bit of a sort of a crosswind. Not too bad so far. Iglavoo says Friday, two Alaskan 737s at Seattle had a tail strike on takeoff. Updated their performance app, told the pilots they were 20,000 pounds lower weight. So performance of VR was slow. It was a bug on the app. Wow, remarkable. Yeah, scary stuff. And this is, you know, apps have to be designed so carefully to make sure they don't do that. Any bugs spotted, but they're complicated things, apps and iPads and so on. Question is that better than having pilots look up a table and get, you know, pilots will obviously get that wrong sometimes, so is that better or worse? But yeah, it's happened before. Pilots have taken the zero fuel weight from the previous flight, so they were maybe operating an empty flight and then they used that weight, and then obviously that ends in tears as well. Precision Games, thank you for the subscription. And Dan Boza, thank you again for your tip. So, Dan Boza asks, can you explain green, blue and yellow pump and how the system works and what it means?
Will you be climbing to, please?
Oh, was that to us?
Flight level 350 from the 426.
So,
Roger, I'll be climbing to 370, thank you. Easy 2307.
Easy's going higher. We'll see who's got the better wind.
Alright, yeah, yeah, it's good to know. We'll have to work something out on descent.
Let's see what the cruise speeds are like. I don't think anyone's going to be cruising much quicker than me, but we shall see. So these are all hydraulic systems, Dan Boza. So there's 3 hydraulic systems on the Airbus: green, blue, yellow. We have an engine 1 pump and engine 2 pump. These are the hydraulic pumps that run the green system and the yellow system. A hydraulic system is a series of connected actuators and reservoirs and so on. So anything that uses the hydraulics is run from one of these systems. Hydraulics are used to move things like ailerons, flaps, landing gear, brakes, spoilers, anything that moves really, because we can't move those ourselves. The aerodynamic forces on an aircraft of this size are too great, so we rely on hydraulics, which is a bit like, you know, brakes in a car and so on. So there's 3 systems, because obviously if there's one and it failed, then we wouldn't have any of the systems we want. So they're divided up. So the green and yellow are the main systems. Blue, it is a main system, but it's a bit more of a backup. It doesn't have quite as many vital systems on it. Green and yellow, as you can see, have engine pumps, so they're run by the engines. And blue has an electric pump of its own that runs to power it. Then you have a PTU, which can swap energy between them. So you can see there's got little arrows left and right. You can also run the yellow system from the electrical pump, which we do on the ground. You saw as well on the ground I use the blue pump to power the blue one temporarily. Green can be powered on the ground through the PTU. So that's what they are. And if you go to the flight controls, you can get an idea of which systems are running. So the left aileron is run by the blue and green, B and G. Right aileron is also blue and green, B and G. So if you lost your green and blue system, you've run out of ailerons. But luckily, you'll still have spoilers. So you'll use the roll spoilers. Elevator is a bit more diverse. You've got blue and green for one side, yellow and blue for the other. So any one system keeps you with at least one functioning elevator. And then your trim is run by green and yellow, and so on and so on. So yeah, but then there's more. There's obviously the gear, like I say, the brakes and the flaps. But they're all powered by these hydraulic systems. So that's what they are. Hopefully that helps. Now, I can tell what's happened. Unfortunately, my YouTube is running very behind on chat again. It's very frustrating. But there we go. So apologies for that. Johnny says, are there any more tutorials coming in the future? I miss learning new stuff. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, there's not... We're a bit light on videos on the channel lately. I appreciate we've done a lot more streams. It's mainly because I've done a lot of videos over the last 3 years. We're reaching now 3 years of this channel, which is really hard to believe. But I've done so many videos that I do have some ideas for videos I want to do. I've got a bit out of sync doing them, really. So now I'm more into the streams right now. But I do have the intention and the mindset to do them. There's nothing stopping me doing them. It's just been what I've wanted to do. So you can expect them to arrive at some point, and I'll probably get back into a bit of flow of videos. You know, suddenly I just have to sit down and actually make one. Obviously, time isn't quite as free as it was, and videos are quite time-consuming. Streams are consuming as well, but they take more organization, whereas a video just takes time. It can take ages, especially doing one in Microsoft Flight Simulator. It takes hours and hours and hours. So yeah, that's something I definitely want to do. We're sort of trying out different things as well. So yeah, of course, the podcast was released, something that I asked you guys whether you wanted to see or not, and it got a pretty positive reaction, so I thought we would do it. And yeah, thank you all so much. Very kind words about it, which really is very nice of you. And in that podcast, it allows me to talk about different things. And Phil Norbeck, Phil, thank you so much for your $10 super chat. Really appreciate it, Phil. Phil says he should check out the new podcast. There we go. Yeah, so thank you, Phil. Really kind of you. Thanks for joining us, and thank you for your very kind super chat. Thank you so much for the amazing amount of support for the channel you've shown. So really thank you, and thanks for being here today. But yeah, the podcast is sort of, it's facilitating new ideas, new things to talk about. If you haven't listened, I do recommend it. If you like the channel, it's sort of I would hope if you like the streams, you'd like the podcast. And in the podcast, I'm sitting with another professional pilot, certainly in episode 1, and I intend to sit with many others as I can get hold of them and can convince them to do it. So that way you'll get different perspectives than just mine, because I've always said I'm not here to represent anyone but myself, and it's obviously easy to say that and then just talk, but I think it's quite good if you hear from other people as well. I think it has the potential to be interesting anyway. And I enjoyed the chat I had with Barney in that podcast, and I found out some things I didn't know, and yeah, do more of that. And also next episode, which should be coming soon, by the way, because the podcast has a huge advantage in that I don't have to be at my computer to do it, so I can get that done a bit more easily, a bit more flexibly, and then I can get some questions answered for you. So I've got if you want to ask a question on the Discord, you can type in a question, and I will eventually get around to answering it on the podcast. But the first episode was sort of an interview with Barney, where I just found out a bit more about Barney and his background. But now we can do this one where we'll try answering some questions. Let's just try out some different formats and see how it goes. But thank you all so much for the really kind words I've had about the podcast, because I was pretty nervous about it. It's a new format. Hard, with the streams. There's always this. You're always looking at something that we all find interesting, aeroplanes. So once that's removed, will people be able to stick with it? But the advantage is, of course, you can listen to it anywhere. And I enjoy podcasts when I find one I like. So I figured it would be worth trying. So yeah, we'll keep going with that. Richard Darsley says, "Are you really a pilot if you don't love to talk?" Exactly. Dougal says, "Crikey, 3 years, really?" Yep, 3 years. 2020, this channel started, spring 2020, and here we are, spring 2023. Oh, it gives me shivers saying that. That Serious Pilot says, "Hi, love the streams. If I had more time, I'd love to fly along again. I've not had a chance to listen to the podcast yet, but definitely will do soon." Yeah, and although I put the podcast on YouTube, that was just really to make people aware of it. I don't know how useful it is on YouTube, because of course the key thing is you can listen to it anywhere. But I've noticed a lot of people did listen on YouTube. In fact, more listened on YouTube than Spotify or anywhere else. So yeah, it's available anyway on Spotify or RSS. I suppose YouTube, you can just leave running in the background, can't you? Indeed, I am still a pilot, indeed. Mateo says, "I'm sure many would love a podcast of V1 simulations, discussing differences between 320 operations in US and Europe." Yeah, that'd be great. Obviously, if I can get some guests from like V1 and Flight Data Sim and maybe more, that would be a real treat. So I'm just going to sort of get a few episodes in, we'll establish it, and then I'll start pestering people to come on my podcast. 3 years, April the 5th, says Captain Monster. There we go. Unbelievable. But yeah, I'd love to have V1 and on the podcast, absolutely. Ed says, "Really enjoy the podcast. Great to meet Barney too. He sounded like a nice chap. Great to hear his thoughts and experiences. Love the retro sim chat." There we go. Yeah, great. Johnny says, "I watched all the video streams. I listened to podcasts too. Love them all. Penis is the start." My apologies, but yeah, thank you, Johnny. Really appreciate it. Thanks for supporting the channel and coming along and listening and watching. It's really great. It's a real treat to have the option to sort of try out these new things, you know, like starting up a podcast and so on. AF says, "At work sadly, but we'll catch us on the way home. I hope you have a easy shift at work and a safe drive home." Some Code says, "Hello from Thailand, Captain. Quick question. Quite often I'd get more drag when starting my descent and ending up putting speed brake to overcome this. Is there any tips to avoid this?" No, that's it. If you start down where the Airbus tells you to, you should be alright. But there's no guarantees. Wind and things change. So if it says more drag, you might have to use it. It could just be the way the descent is programmed, you know, if there's restrictions on it. Somewhere like Madrid, if you're landing on the southerly runways, it could be quite easy to get the more drag message anyway, no matter what you do. Paddy, good to see you. Paddy's done a lot of amazing work on the deliveries for the channel, so thanks for coming along, Paddy. I hope you're doing very well. And Mateo Chewy, great to see you. I hope you're doing very well. Great to have you here. We are, of course, doing a Sunday stream again, aren't we? Yes, which is good news. It's always rare for us to get that. George says, "It's been a great 3 years. The channel's just awesome." Thank you, George. Thank you so much for coming along. So many streams. Really appreciate it. And it's very kind of you. And he says, "I remember my dad telling me about your first video, the A321 walk around. Been here ever since." Yeah, that was the very first video on the channel, was a Toliss A321 walk around. 3 years ago. And all that time, 3 years, and I've only... So I've had this computer for 3 years. Well, I built it a few months after starting the channel. Once it grew a little bit, but still, goodness me, can't believe it's that old. 2 and a bit years old. Here we go, last 1,000 feet. George says, how do you compare Toliss A320 to the Fenix? They're both very good. Just depends if you like X-Plane or Flight Sim, I suppose. Toliss A320 isn't out yet, of course. I'm referring to the 19 and 21 Mac Outstar. Toliss is great for training because you can reset the situation and so on, which just Flight Simulator doesn't allow you to do. Put that to below. Let's do a systems check. Oh yeah, it still does this. Hopefully they can fix that. Feels very cold, 1 degree, which it could be after such a cold ground. Good, that's all looking good. Making progress. Oh, pretty miserable headwind actually, 50 knots. Ugh. That is going to slow us down, no doubt about it. Can't really go much faster. Let's try a little bit. How does that work for the fuel? I know that the Fenix is actually a little bit efficient, so yeah, we're going to have loads of fuel. Zoom out a bit. Any directs we can take? I don't think so. It looks like a pretty straight route. Yeah. No, it's just a long way away. Michael says, do pilots have to land an A321 with flap 3 over tail strikes? There's no have to. 321 you can land flap full, flap 3, your choice. Ryan Lee says, hello, I've been messing around with the cockpit view in the Fenix and I was wondering what was the view that most closely resembles what you actually see when you fly in real life. Let's have a look. Now there was a period where this was misaligned a bit, but I actually think the default's pretty good. It feels high perhaps, but it's not. You can't see down the glare shield, so I think that's pretty good. The reality is, of course, you've got more peripheral vision, so outside of your eyes you can see out this window and this window, which does help with landings. But yeah, I think that is not a bad place. The Fenix, I don't mind landing like this. Stormcode says, thanks for the answer. By the way, really love the podcast. Looking forward to next episode. Excellent. Thanks, Stormcode. Really appreciate it. Drift Towards says, I should get back into Flight Sim. I sim racing, so I need to find time. Yeah. It's hard. It is hard to get time for this. The Flying 800 says, hey dude, just given the new de Havilland Caribou a bash on Flight Sim. Happy simming. Yes. I want to fly that, de Havilland, the HC4. I really do. How detailed is it? Has anyone used it? It's definitely on the list. Paddy says, love the podcast. Eagerly awaiting the inevitable episode all about livery design. Yes. Great idea. Great idea. That boy says, time for an upgrade. I don't know. I've been thinking, do I need to upgrade the computer? But we get like atrocious frame rates sometimes there. But yeah, I've got an RTX 3080, which isn't being used. The thing that would benefit me is a new processor. But if I do that, then I need a new motherboard, then I need a new RAM, and basically a whole new computer, just the same graphics card. And I don't think I'm going to see much of an improvement. The i7-10700 is nice, and it's not failed us yet. You know, we run 1440p, high to ultra settings. I honestly think that we just run into optimizations issues more than we run into actual computer restrictions, I think. This cockpit color, JJ, is from Fenix. It's the Fenix A320. Thanks, Steve, for the follow and high resolution for the subscription. Richard Darcy says about the Caribou, annoyingly not quite detailed enough. I was worried. I thought it looked amazing, and I saw the price, and I was like, oh, I don't know then. Four Prawn says, is anyone using VR at the moment? Not on your computer though. Yeah, I don't do much VR flight sim because, as I've said before, when I flight sim I tend to do it with you guys, so, or a video, and VR just doesn't work for those two things really. High Resolution says, lifelong Boeing fan, then I bought the Fenix. I'm now not sure about my fanboy status. Yeah, they're good. Yeah, Airbus is one of those things. I think when I started flying, sort of 10 years ago, now this could just be because I'm surrounded by different people now, but in my mind, the Airbus's reputation has improved over the last sort of 10, 15 years. There was a suspicion of it when I was growing up, I think. It felt very new and very different, and, you know, is it the real deal, or is it just interfering with pilots, and so on. And nowadays I find that I don't tend to hear that, but that could be because I'm surrounded by people who fly it. Mateo says, I've seen a pretty old IFP example where the pilots would note fuel use versus expected fuel temperature, pitch, and N1 at every waypoint. You routinely take so many notes. No. Now, things like fuel used versus expected, yes. But temperature, pitch, and N1, no. However, it depends what your example was. There could be reasons for it, Matteo. If there was suspicion over a fuel sensor or or the fuel quantity indicators or the fuel flow measurements, any of these things. So it could have been that the aircraft had a running defect and the engineers wanted a track of those things. That's what that sounds like to me. Those are the sort of things you would write down if you were suspicious of the airplane in some way. So in that case, what will probably be happening is the airplane is having its tanks dipped every flight, which is when, if there's any suspicion over our fuel gauges, you know, how much fuel is on an aircraft is incredibly important, and it's something we don't actually model in flight sim in any way because we never see the fuel uplift. We just know what fuel's on board. But in real life, it's never just a given that the fuel is correct. The way it's done is that we, every flight we record how much fuel we leave in the airplane, and that's a super, super important record. If that number's missing, we really are very cautious because we can't look into the fuel tanks. We rely on these gauges or this fuel quantity indicator, fuel on board, FOB. So if there's suspicion about that, then the engineers will look into the tanks, or they will dip the tanks, which is a magnetic dip indicator that floats, and then they can see by the float how much fuel is actually in each tank. So they'll come and measure it to make sure it matches. And if like I say, if there's suspicion, they'll do that every flight. Because what we do on normal flights, when we don't have to do that, is take the fuel that's left over, then the fueler will tell the aircraft how much fuel, the total figure we're going to end up with. So today it was 8.3 tons. So the fueler would tell the airplane, 8.3 on the refueling panel, and then fuel it up to that. And then they'll give you a receipt telling you how much fuel they put in, usually in litres. Even though we work in kilograms, they work in litres. We then convert that from litres to kilograms, and then we check that the number we knew the aircraft arrived with plus the number that's been added adds up to the new number on the indicators. And if it doesn't, there's a sign there's something wrong. And then that would lead us into further investigations like you saw there. So that's my guess. May not be. Could be some airlines have that SOP, but yeah. What is the DFD 350? I have not heard of it. I've heard of the Aerosoft 330. Matteo says, it was indicated as a standard way of taking notes, not for specific issues. It did seem overkill. Yeah, I haven't heard of that, but I absolutely believe you that this is a thing that some airlines will do. I've flown with different airlines, some that require more note-taking than others. So it depends. I have, in a previous airline, I have we wrote down everything said to us by air traffic control, things like that. Stephen says, Into the Blue Simulations did a review of the Caribou the other day. He was quite impressed, I think. Okay. I'll have to take a look at it. It appeals to me because I have flown a DHC aircraft, a DHC 8, but I like the idea of flying a DHC 4 before it became the Dash series. A 4090, if cheaper in 2 years, would still be a huge uplift on my 3070. There you go. Yeah. Fatboy says, only thing is the DLSS frame generation with 40 series cars, double frame rate for free. Yeah, except I'm not struggling with my 3080, and all I found with DLSS was I found that the numbers were fuzzy and it really wound me up. I like DLSS for those of you who don't know, DLSS is a sort of clever technology from NVIDIA to increase the frame rate. I say artificially. It doesn't generate it in the traditional way. It does it in another sort of way by basically filling in the gaps. But I didn't like its effect. I liked it in some games, but I didn't find it very good. I didn't like it in Flight Simulator so far. But maybe on the 40 series it's better than what I can get on the 30 series. Paul says, Caribou has a few rough edges, but I think it's great fun overall and really well done. Oh, there you go. And he says, maybe for podcasts, our streamers like Luke, British AvGeek, who aren't pilots, about their love of the hobby. Yeah, and that, absolutely. So I did write in the little description that it's going to cover simmers as well. So I'm fully expecting to get some simmers who maybe aren't real-world pilots, but to get them and their opinions and thoughts on it into the podcast. Because it sort of begs the question, really, where do we want to take it? Do you want to hear exclusively, or do you want it weighted more towards flight sim, more real world? Or what I'm guessing is a mix of both. Because obviously some guests, not many real world pilots, spend their time flight simming. It's not that common. So I will be speaking to pilots who perhaps won't know almost anything about flight simulators. So the question is if you want to hear that. But I've got a sort of list of questions that works, which is basically what I talked about with Barney. But yeah, all things to hear from you guys, really. Demo says, I think this is my livery that I created last year. Awesome if it is. I've just noticed the incorrect reg and cell cow, so in the middle of that, fixing that now. Ah, Demo, well, if it is, thank you so much. Yeah, it's the Fenix livery on flightsim.to. I think there's only one for mid-S. But yeah, thank you so much for putting the work into it. Absolutely great. That boy says 4090s are amazing for Microsoft Flight Simulator. 60 FPS at AGLL. Yeah, that is amazing. So that's perhaps something for the future. Oh, you can have frame gem without... Okay, I didn't know that. I don't even know how to do that. He says, DHC, you got to catch them all. Got to dash them all. Yeah, very good. So he says, Freeware 350 doesn't sound like a good idea. Quite possibly the most complex aircraft to model. DFD. Let's have a look. Digital Flight Dynamics. Is it freeware or payware? I really hadn't heard of it. I'm quite surprised. It's been around for a while, it looks like. They've got a video on YouTube. They've got a custom PFD. Well, I will not bet against anyone. Seeing what Fly-by-Wire have achieved, and seeing their 380 preview, the A380 preview, unbelievable. So it looks fantastic. So I'm willing to believe anything's possible. And the 380 and the 350 are perfectly possible. Phil says 4090 DLSS no blur. Oh, I don't know how you're doing that. What setting am I changing then? I don't know. What I don't think, can the 3080 do frame gen? That boy says, I think I read somewhere that the Fenix fuel on board indication varies depending on the attitude of the aircraft as it would in real life due to location of fuel sensor in tank. Not tested it. So, yes, that is a true feature of, any fuel tank. And these fuel quantity indicators are affected. So the best time is in the cruise. And I mean, why you'd write down the pitch attitude for every fuel check and waypoint? I can't believe that's... Well, I've never heard of it. Again, I believe it. I believe it was an SOP somewhere once upon a time, or it may still be today. But yeah, they're not that bad. But if you, for example, doing a go around or a takeoff, there's no point reading the fuel whilst you're going around. There's no point pitching up to 20 degrees with takeoff thrust or toga and go around and whilst you're doing that, looking at the fuel. Just focus on the flying, level out, and then you can look at it there, because that will have an impact. It will go up and down a little bit as you do that. High Resolution says, pondering the Caribou right now. Sometimes it's just nice to go back to the simpler ways. No MCDU. Yeah, although we'll probably find that despite no MCDU, that does look quite a complex machine. I think we can do it. Turboprop, you know. I'd love to see a Dash 7. And I want to see a Q400 in Flight Sim. The other thing to remember is I'm not running 4K. I'm running 1440p. So that may affect why my DLSS doesn't work quite so well. Yeah, Piru says proper analysis of stuttering would be needed to actually find out where the problem lies. Just going for hardware upgrades basically blindly could lead to disappointment. Yeah, agreed. Make sure Hags is on. I don't know what that is. What's Hags? Commodore Stu says make sure Hags is, or Commander Stu says make sure Hags is on. DX12 is on. DLSS is set to balance. Now I thought we weren't going to use DX12. I'm way behind here. Am I supposed to be using DX12 now? I haven't done that. Oh dear. Mateo says freeware normally do well as long as 3D modelling is concerned. When it comes to systems, that's where most things can never get completed. Yeah, I mean it's I can't. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I've never bet against anyone, like I say, after the A320 Mix would speak the most to me. So talking about the podcast here, Cheap Point says that Mix would speak the most. Maybe some aviation news topics mixed in. Yeah, exactly. Bit of both, says Stephen as well. That's what I was hoping. Great. So for the podcast, that's the plan. Yeah. Hardware accelerated GPU scheduling. Okay. Dear. For points is using an index, which is a VR headset. Ah, there you go. DLSS frame generation is 40 series only. Right. Now, I've been wondering, I'm going to sound really daft here, but a TV can generate frames and increase the frame rate. And sometimes you see some artifacts, but it can do it. So I was wondering why games can't do that. If a TV can do it. Oh, there you go. Everyone's saying FrameGen needs the 40 series. DLSS does not work correctly without the X12. Okay. Okay, right. Yeah, my bottleneck is entirely on my processor anyway. So. Ed says, being a Twitter fan, I'm really looking forward to flying the Caribou. Yes, it does seem like Ed's sort of plane. Oh, well, I'm not going to get a 40 series card right now. I think the 3080 is very good for what we use it for. I'd say something else. By the way, I loaded up X-Plane 12 for the first time for a while today. Just as sort of a backup plan. Because for BMI Virtual, which is obviously who we're flying with today, beautiful day over Europe. But yeah, with BMI Virtual, there is only one option at the moment in Microsoft Flight Simulator. They're being a little bit more correct with the fleets. So I wanted to make sure that if this didn't work for any reason, we could use X-Plane 12. And I've got to say, I don't know what's been going on with X-Plane 12, but it was looking better than ever. Scenery, obviously, is not this good. But the airplanes, the lighting was really nice. And I'm convinced the flight decks looked lighter than normal, but I'm going to have to do some more testing to see if that was actually true or not. Rory says, FrameGen is essentially the same thing, optical flow, which is what TVs do too, but in a less clever way. Yeah, I suppose TVs can have input lag because it doesn't matter because you don't know when the input was done, whereas on an interactive game it's hard to do. David says, with a 3090, I keep Flight Simulator terrain level of detail to 100 or less to help the CPU bottleneck. Okay, interesting. Pilots in VR, thanks for the follow. Oh, throwing my pen around by accident there. Maybe we'll try that. I mean, to be fair, the Fenix out of Heathrow with FS traffic and VATSIM is pretty stressful for the computer, and I can understand why. I think it's fair enough. Some code says, speaking of A320X, I still can't believe we got it for free. Only thing that's missing is probably final app mode. Yeah. Yeah. Wow, it's amazing. And like I say, the 380 is going to be something else. Thomas Gray says, really enjoyed the podcast episode. Looking forward to what's to come. Excellent. Thanks, Thomas Gray. Thanks so much. Really appreciate it. Glad to hear it. Alex says, did you opt into the beta? Lots of performance upgrades. Beta for what, Alex? Sorry, is that for X-Plane? 8455 says, did you ever get the 757 to work in X-Plane 12? I re-downloaded the fresh copy from the org store and all as well. No, I haven't got it working yet. I'm going to try again. I'm looking forward to the... is it Bluebirds? 757 from Microsoft Flight Simulator. They had an update recently, looking really nice. Rodney says, doesn't help that Phoenix is so CPU hungry. Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm not complaining. I think for the visuals we got, and it's low frames out of Heathrow, but it's workable. I might have been a little unhappy landing like that. We did that into Gatwick, if you remember, as well. We had very low frames into Gatwick on an approach in the A310, I think it was. That was a little bit stressful, but yeah. Alex says, X-Plane 12 is getting really good. Yeah, it looked very good. I was very impressed. Randy says, the Phoenix V2 aims to uplift performance, among many other things. Yes. Excellent. Well, I look forward to that. Anik asks, where do you usually plan your flight? SimBrief? Indeed. Yeah, I use SimBrief. And this flight was planned via BMI Virtual, so they actually it sends the information to SimBrief. It's very clever, very easy to use. I like it a lot. Thanks, Motsbane, for the follow. And it said Pilots in VR. Sorry, Pilots in VR. You don't get two. Tyson, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Richard Darcy says, I'm stuck using a graphics card from 2016 at the moment. I did a flight in New Zealand with a really good FPS right up until I touched down. FPS instantly tanked. Ah, that's a shame. Frustrating, yeah. Fuji2 says, what would everyone consider to be acceptable FPS? You're about to get 100 different answers for that. It's a good question. For me, it's just, I don't mind it. I just don't want it pausing, you know. I'll take it down to 15 FPS. That's probably, we probably had lower than that getting out of Heathrow there. Ah, interesting. So Richard Astley wonders if something's going on with the ground. Could be. Could be. Alex says, what do you think about the new SimBrief? Yes, I have seen the new SimBrief. I thought it was very good. I didn't use it. I've only used it once when I was going to do a stream and then I couldn't do it in the end. But I was going through SimBrief. Yeah, it was good. Easier to edit as you go, which I quite liked. So no complaints there. Oh, it's even got a night mode. Look at that. Amazing. Yeah. New SimBrief is good. I know new Navigraph charts has grown on me a lot. 8455. Good to see you. 8455 says, I'm still on a 1060, so Microsoft Flight Simulator is not really that playable. No. I started with a a mobile 1060, and I upgraded to the 2060 Ti, and then I upgraded to the 3080, because that was in the days when you could sell your graphics card for more than you paid for it. Stormcode wants any frame rate above 30. There you go. George wants to join the VA. If you put exclamation mark BMI into the chat, it should give you the link. Thomas Gray asks, do pilots have communication with engineers describing fault systems, etc.? Is it common? Yeah, we can talk to engineers. Some airlines have it so you can talk to them over the radio, but that's probably only when you're within range of a base. Other ways would be to talk through the radio via the sort of the ground handlers at the airport you're going to, if you're too far away from your base. Or some airlines will use ACARs, so where you can send messages through here. That's very common. Yeah, all different ways. Or if you're on the ground, you're just going to phone them up and say, hey, I've got this problem, what should I do? Richard Darcy says, can't you use a sat phone? No, 320s don't come with sat phones typically. I'm sure you could have one added. Long haul aircraft will have it. Yeah, a lot of glare out there. Ah, look at that. Brings our colleague into view. We must be catching up. Oh, we are catching up. Oh dear. 1500 below, no problem. And that's pretty accurate. They look... That's spot on. They look too high. They look the same level here, but that is exactly what it's like in the in the real aircraft. But actually, they're going to be significantly below us, and I think we're catching them. James says, looks like I managed to catch up following my autopilot failure. Always issue with my flights. Yeah, that's always the case. There's always something. George says, what I like about SimBrief is that in combination with the Toliss A321, you automatically download your flight plan via ACARS.
Midland 437, what's your cruise altitude at flight level 350?
FM, Midland 427, we are cruising 350.
Thank you, looks like the same level, so we'll descend to 330, 322.
99, I'm currently at flight level 360 and we'll stay there to ensure I don't catch up too quick.
Huh. That's interesting. What's going on here? Oh yeah. Yeah, so the 322 is cruising at 350 as well. And thanks to the Midland 322. Sorry about that. TCAS was showing you as 1,500 below already. I don't know what's going on there. Strange.
Yeah, it does do that sometimes. The TCAS is a bit wonky, I think, Midland 322.
Oh well, great. Yeah, thanks very much. Great spot. That's lucky. Well, that was me saying how the visual picture. But yeah, like I say, it's very hard to judge if an aircraft's at your altitude or not looking out the window. Often it looks like they are when they aren't. But it turns out they were. So my praise for Flight Simulator can be put back on hold there. We are definitely catching them though. We'll have a higher true airspeed now. We're a bit higher. Making some serious progress now. Richard Darcy says, You need more air refueling practice in DCS. You'll soon learn. Yeah, my air refueling. I've never actually successfully practiced air refueling in DCS. I managed to connect once or twice and get like a kilogram of fuel, and that's about it. Yeah, Danvosa asks, how is it showing other aircraft at 1,500 feet when cruise cannot be in 500? Yeah, its TCAS is wrong. Not sure where it's getting its info from, really. For Prawn says, I noticed All Nippon 211 came to London over the North Pole today. Oh, nearly, but polar flights seem unusual. Why is that? Let's have a look. Let's look it up. Flight radar. ANA 211. On the, I guess that left on the 25th. Wow, what a route. Yeah, well, obviously there's no reason they couldn't go lower through Canada, but they'll do it based on the winds and the routing, I suppose, and I'm sure there's plenty of airports in sort of northern Greenland and so on that they can use as sort of en route alternates, especially for a, was that a Dreamliner, was it? But frankly, I don't know. That was on a 777, yeah. I don't know the reasons because I've never done it, but I would imagine something to do with the winds, and as long as you're certified and you're within range of airfields, quite an amazing feeling, I'd have thought, cruising over the North Pole or very close to it. Quite something. Also says, my TCAS shows you 700 feet below me, but we're at the same altitude. I'm mid in 46. Oh, there we go. Yeah, okay. James says, any idea on approach? I'm coming up to top of descent. Not a clue. Oh, yeah, I'll check that in just a moment. George Chadwick says, BMI operated the following aircraft: 319-100, 320-200, 321-200, 330-200, and 330-300. There you go. Oh yeah, yes. As Andy says there, BMI Virtual will be operating a bit more strictly to BMI's original fleet, but Dan Air was still getting all the love and support of the team, and has a wide variety of aircraft. Johnny says, Finnair flies regularly over North Pole now. Russian airspace is shut down. Very good. Pack a jumper, even if you're flying to Hawaii. Oh, there you go. As Matteo says, yeah, Neo's not allowed in BMI. There you go. Right, in terms of arrival then, what were we expecting? So, thank you very much to London. We now are doing the Budex. So, yeah, this isn't much of an arrival. Budex in, finishing at Nerdu. Let's check the wind. Ever since that flight we did in New Zealand. Still northerly, 1 degree. Good. So that puts us on runway 34 here, which makes the most sense. That's quite a common one for Vienna to use. But next to whiskey, so let's pick an approach. But not from there, from here. Oh, clever stuff. Look at this. Right. Having said how much I like this, how do I get rid of all this? I don't want this. Hide. No. How do I specify? Oh, what happens if I click on? No. Open charts. There we go. Right, ILS34. Most likely here. The quickest way to get us all in. So there's no transition there. So now we're going to have to do the search for the transition. Nerdu transition. There we go. And that's runway 29. That's no good. Up above. Not coming in from Ballards. There it is. There it is. So it's going to be the Nerdu 5 November. So let's change it around in here. Arrival RS34, put it to whiskey. And it said I put via Ballard 4 November. That's wrong. It's going to be via Nerdu 5 November. There we go to plan. There it is. And I am gonna cut the corner. So that would be the normal arrival. I'm gonna go in like that because I'm hungry. So that's the plan. Terrain is high, 3,900 over Austrian territory only. Over here is the border with Hungary down there. Anyway, 3,900 feet, pretty high. The airfield is. I love the way it orders them in the correct order. This is very good stuff. Really like it. Yes, so 3 degree ILS, 3,000 feet platform. It's not actually that high, the elevation, 586 feet, so 590. So we're about 2,500 feet above the runway here. That's great. Down we go. Over this hill here, so we might get a radio altimeter to come alive early, but then we would expect it to come alive at about 3,000 feet platform at 7 miles. That should be the last time it comes alive, but I'll probably get it earlier, about 8 or 9 miles as well. Agent says, I'm not sure if anyone asked, but what do you think about the fly-by-wire A380 that's supposed to be coming? I think it looks amazing. Can't wait to get their hands on it. Looks fantastic. Looks fantastic. Paddy says, successfully refueling the Harriet and DCS is the single most difficult thing I've done in flight simming. More rewarding when I finally manage that than landing it on the boat. Yeah, agreed. I can land an F-14 on the carrier. I can't refuel it in flight. Just can't do it. Tried VR, tried head tracking, doesn't matter. It's so difficult. How they ever did that, I don't know. But yeah, there we go. And that's the arrival. Nice long runway. So this is an easy low water break to get us up towards the terminal. And light winds. I'll probably do a flat full. Save the brakes. Take any of the high speeds. Bravo 5, 3,600 meters. So yeah, performance works for that. Great. If we need to go around straight ahead, 9.8 miles, so quite a long straight ahead, and then turn right to the VOR and hold the Fisherman VOR FMD 1104, which will just auto tune later on as we get closer. If you're feeling keen, what we can do is put in MD. That's why I wasn't feeling keen. There we go. FMD says 9.8. I'm just going to put 10. And now we would have a blue ring around us. And I'll know if we go around, basically get to the blue ring slightly before it, make our right turn back around to hold. And the VOR will show up. Although, of course, in that mode, it would do it on its own. Mateo says, have to dash for dinner. See you all later. Have a good landing, Captain. Thanks, Mateo. Enjoy your dinner. Yeah, we started a bit late today. 8455 says, we're so committed to VDAD that BMI is renting the Discord space. There you go. Richard Dudley says, I found using wing sweep to change trim was easier than using the actual trim. How funny. I'd start with the F-18 if you have it, though. I do have the F-18, I just don't know how to fly it at all, but maybe I should practice with that. That's a good point. Simon Forrester, good to see you. Simon says, click on the plane button. It relates to your flight. You select the approaches, etc. from there. Plane button. Ah, I see. Right. Yeah. Thank you. includes the runway in use. So all of these are reasons for that New Zealand flight. Enjoyed that though. Definitely want to fly the 146 again. Enjoyed that a lot. Definitely want to go and fly in some flight beam sceneries again. Still can't get over how good they looked. Amazing. Great. So, yeah, where were we? So, slightly high elevation, hill on the approach, configuring at normal points, so 5 miles, wheels out, will be fine. And go around, we've got a plan for fuel. We've got plenty of fuel. Yeah, 900 kilos. Phoenix sips its fuel, obviously. Next question is traffic. So for anyone, if you are flying along with us, like I say, my plan is I'm going to cut this corner. I want to go from there, do, and then inset the RS like that. But I'll try and judge it properly around us all. Daniel B says, we'll cut the corner because I'm hungry. Ultra realism. Yes, we're going full simulation here. Swordfire says, did you know that the A320 has a system that will automatically descend the aircraft in case the crew doesn't respond to depressurization in time? Very good. I know the 350 has, I think, something similar. But yeah, or maybe it's like a one-button system, but still, very good, yeah. And he says, it's scary to think that Dan Air Virtual is nearly 1 year old. When we launched, I thought we'd get about 20 pilots in the last 6 months if we were lucky. Excellent. It's great to hear it's doing well, Andy. How is Dan Air Virtual? Well, you have to reveal that here, but yeah, it sounds like it's doing well, which is great. Laddie says, Matteo, are you too hungry even with a shortcut? It seems so. Yeah, BMI Virtual is live now. Wow. Piru says 7950X RTX 4090 running at 1440 and 5120, so ultra wide. Everything cranked to max, DLSS quality and DLSS frame generation enabled, on the ground 80 to 90, in the air 90 to 120. Wow. Yeah, that's the dream. That is the dream. Obviously I need a new I think I need a new processor. I don't feel like the channel is currently limited by my computer, but I will, you know, that's a big part of the investment of the channel is the computer to run it all, and that it's on my radar. It's on my radar that we might need to upgrade, but I reckon we might get away until the 50 series. I think we might. Oh, not 50 series, sorry. The well, maybe. We'll see. No, all I can do, I have a 10700 processor, so all I can fit in is the 11700. It would cost hundreds of pounds, and it might get me 2 frames if I'm lucky. So I'm not going to bother. Especially as I'm too scared to take anything apart. Yeah, it's an unfortunate thing of Intel sockets. There's our descent point coming up, about 120 miles. We're pretty much briefed. Checking on the fuel, so 5 plus 3, 8.3. That's what we expected. That's all good. Excellent. Let's put in a bit of the weather. We're close enough now. What's going on there? Why did I put 3.6 here in? Should have spotted that. There you go, out cruise. Yeah. It stayed in the cruise phase. There we go. Not a big issue. QNH of 1017, 1 degree. It's loaded in a wind, 3511. Oh yeah, minima, of course. Not really concerned. Weather's nice, clearly out the windows, and you can see it's okay. But for completeness, we do enter the minima anyway. This time, 794. Coming full. Going altitude today. 5,000. Yeah, Swiss, Tony, I agree. I'm not going to upgrade to 11th gen. 4.1 says, I agree, Ari, the PC. I think it's your insights we're after rather than the visuals. Thanks. And I mean, we are running at ultra. You know, like I still think it looks amazing. And when we're in the flight, you know, smooth as anything. I limit my frame rates. I couldn't stream. There's no way I could stream at 100 frames a second. It would just create problems. So I'd have to limit it to 30 anyway, which is what I do at the moment. Oh. Hence, I can't really justify it. Let's have a bit of a photo shoot with the BMI livery. Very unusual to have a painted wing surface, horizontal wing. Which is funny, isn't it? Because the tails are always painted, but I guess they figured no one sees these. But BMI did have red tails, which I think looked great. Yeah, pretty much the only one in the UK. Right. So James is behind us, as we saw there, catching up. As For Prawn says, everything to play for. Now, I can't go much faster. James is a bit higher, which is helping. Someone's below us over here. Yep, there's another BMI. BMI lives on. Absolutely brilliant. So, I might, just to try and help things along here, and by help things, I mean help me. No, nothing I can do yet. Once we get past Etvis, I'm going to carry on and just intercept like that. That's my plan, which I don't think is too unrealistic for Vienna. Jay says, I'll keep my speed down behind you, don't worry. My chat for YouTube has once again collapsed, so I'm sorry that I've missed any messages. Bosco says, that livery is really slick. Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? Jeremy says it looks like a Smurf. Fair enough. Ryan says, amazing how 30 FPS on Flight Sim is very good, but when playing games with lots of movement, 30 FPS looks terrible. Yeah, well, that's it. Flight Sim doesn't, it doesn't, I don't think it loses too much from being a lower frame rate, because it's so calm paced. What I'm more interested in is raising up the lowest point. It's that low frame rates we got in Gatwick that time. I was just thinking of that, still traumatized. Rory is below in Midland 322, excellent. Mr. Schwartz says, the runway is quite long. Why not land flap 3? Yeah, it's definitely an option. We haven't done it for a while. I really debated it. So, let's do it. Coming 3. Have we landed flap 3 recently? Anyway, crucially, low auto brake. Don't do flap 3 in medium. That's just daft. But we will do landing flap 3 on here. Now, you can do flap 3 in medium. You're most likely going to do that in an emergency, but doing it in normal would be just pointless.
427. I'm going to do a slightly longer ballard approach, so I should give you some distance.
That's great. Thanks very much. We'll head from Budex straight on towards the ILS. Stomco says this looks like a credit card.
That's it, thank you.
So yeah, another another variation. It's quite a device delivery. Vuti2 says, Captain, please don't forget there are those of us who still fly X-Plane 11. So Vuti, I will very soon. I want to fly X-Plane 12 again. Like I say, I really was impressed earlier today when I loaded it up. I think it's come a long way. Oh well, I didn't have much time though, so we'll do another stream to get a better idea. Kith, thank you for the follow. But yeah, don't worry, Vuti. X-Plane will return to the channel soon, and like I say, very nearly was today. I can't get over how good the visual model of the A330 in X-Plane 12 is. It's amazing. Excuse me. Yeah. Yes, but it is amazing. It is amazing. It's just a shame the systems aren't quite there. Fizz had to drop out, had another sim crash. That's a shame. Beluga on PC. Sorry I missed your message, but good evening to you. Thanks for joining us. I'm really glad you enjoyed the podcast. That's great to hear. My day has been going well. A340, Sven says. Yeah, we could fly the A340 as well. I think I still maintain this, and I have no idea what it's like, as whether it could happen, but I would just love to see, in the same way INI did the A310 for Microsoft Flight Simulator, could we not get Toliss to do the systems for the X-Plane A330? It's just a match made in heaven, surely. They've done the 340, the 319, 21, and now the 20. They know the Airbus systems inside out. They have beautifully flying aircraft. It'd be so great, because that visual model from X-Plane is remarkably good. Lee Brown says, dark colours heat up fuel, right? Does the A320 have trim fuel in the back? No trim fuel in the back of the A320, so you can paint it red, no problem. But you are right, this is a reason that the wings couldn't be red as well. I wonder if they'd have wanted that. That'd be quite striking, wouldn't it? Sort of thing I'd do. Looks like a credit card. I can't. Oh dear. I like it. I don't usually like sort of swoopy curved liveries that much. It's not that I don't like them. I just don't get overwhelmed by them, because I'm a big fan of cheat lines and so on. But something about this one just works. Don't know what they did. They got it right. In my opinion, of course. Right. Where's the controller? Who's about to open up a whole world of pain for us. I might mess up my shortcut plan, is what I mean by that. I'm going to have to get the call sign right.
322, hello, Praha Radar.
322, yes, with you.
Praha Radar, so they probably aren't going to control us.
322 identified, proceed direct to Budex.
Yeah, they're going to get us out their airspace.
And squawk 1000, sir.
Squawking 1000, Midland 322.
Praha, good evening. Midland 427, flight level 350 to Etvis.
Midland 427, hello, Praha radar identified, squawk 1000, continue present heading, vectoring for spacing.
Squawk 1000, maintain present heading. Midland 427. Ooh.
Hello, run at
Heading.
Passing level 271.
Getting a bit bumpy. Got a tailwind now.
Ryanair 246 Golf, hello, Praha radar identified, climb to flight
Squawk 1000. Yeah, I think this controller won't be with us looking after us for long. There's the energy ring, unusual.
Praha control, good evening. Midland.
Isaac says, I call dibs on parking next to 320 in Parliament Milan.
Midland 999, hello, Praha radar, report again your present.
Aviation says, when flying into high elevation airports, do you still turn on the lights at 10,000 or do you add your fuel elevation? No, 10,000. And like it's not uncommon
level,
these days to see them not on even then.
50.
You might spot it if you look at airports, airplanes on approach. Airbuses might not have the landing lights out until we're sort of on approach. Because we've talked about this before, but there's an argument that they cause some drag and therefore burn fuel. Other aircraft don't have that problem because the lights aren't out in the airflow, but the Airbus ones are. A freshly de-iced airplane, that's why when you get these streaks looking like that, it would be a de-iced airplane. Yeah, I maintain that I don't think they cause too much drag, but there you go.
999, continuing present heading for vectoring, thank you.
Midland 427, turn right heading 110.
Riding 110, Midland 427. 110.
Lot 433, descend now to flight level 170.
Descend now, flight level 170, lot 433.
Wonder how this is going to play out.
CSA 664, clear to Vlashim 5 Tango, arrival runway 06.
Expect arrival.
Yeah, this controller isn't doing Vienna, so we're going to actually, we've only just entered the airspace here. It looks like I'm being put in front. Oh no, 322's in the lead. I'm now paralleling 322. And then James just behind us, the 999. Okay. We haven't been given a speed control.
999 Delta Mike, request descent.
Ryanair 9 Delta Mike, descent to flight level 170.
Interesting. We shall see how this goes.
170, Ryanair 9 Delta Mike.
Midland 999, turn left heading 090.
Jake says, it's nice having someone else look up the charts for this flight so I can just copy the info from you while I follow along. I like having a real co-pilot. Yeah. Glad I'm of use, Jake.
CSA 777, ready
40 miles to go, so we don't need to head down just yet.
CSA 777, information kilo.
It's cold here.
UNH 1018, time check 05. CSA 777, clear to
So for the podcast, somebody left a comment saying for the YouTube upload, like I say, I didn't intend for it to be a YouTube video, but like I say, a lot of people seem to have found it through that. So for the next one, I'm planning to have a sort of a video like this, just in the background. Unfortunately, I wanted to do it for this first one, and someone also asked for it in the video, but I was away from my computer, so couldn't get that done. The motion on the wing, if you look at the gentle turbulence, the motion here is so good, so spot on the Fenix. And the clouds in Microsoft are amazing. This is just so good. I don't know if there's a video game genre that's had such a leap in visuals in
Midland 426, hello,
the time we've had here. We had, you know, FSX was the standard, and visually, yes, P3D looked better in some ways, but I still was never blown away by it. And X-Plane 11, I think, looked better a lot of the time.
427, descent to flight level 310.
Descent level 310, Midland 427. And then suddenly this comes along. It's just amazing.
Midland 427, resume on navigation direct to Budex.
Jet Budex, Midland 427, thank you. So, what he's done is he's sort of parallel us from each other. Budex nav. We were told to descend flight level 310. I'm just going to go down in VS. VS 1000, out blue.
Thank you, release, and have a good evening. Thank you for the service.
There we go. So, I might be a bit cheeky actually. I can intercept the profile that we're planning. Yeah, like this. This will work. Good.
Was that for Midland 426?
Stand by. Load 433, Bratislava 134.475. Bye bye.
So we'll just gently descend. Rory says, I've got a great top-down live view of us all, so we'll see how we get on. Very good.
Midland 999, return left heading 110.
Midlands 999, can you repeat?
Right.
Vaya says, does the PFD update at approximately the same rate as in reality? Seems buttery smooth in sim. Yeah, it's very good.
307 on my frequency.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't. I mean, if you put them side by side, you might be able to tell the difference, but no, to me, this feels quite natural.
Midland 427, report present speed.
Decimal 79, Midland 427.
Okay, reduce decimal 72 or less.
72 or less, Midland 427. So that's 250 knots. That's slow.
2 stations blocked, red nose first.
Normally they would give you... I should have read back an actual airspeed, really, rather than a Mach number. Because 250 is very low, and as we descend, that's going to drop and drop.
360.
Okay, you are identified. CSA 664, proceed direct to Papa Romeo 523.
So this is a bit awkward because... Well, there's nothing we can do now. We're stuck at 250.
CSA 664, direct to Papa Romeo 523.
Proceed direct, Papa Romeo 523.
It's alright, we'll be out of this airspace soon, and we can do our master plan.
Midland 33, correction, Midland 322, descent to flight level 300.
Flight level 300, Midland 322. Praha radar, good evening, easy 2307, inbound Budex.
Easy 2307, hello, Praha radar identified, squawk 1422.
Squawk 1422.
Yeah, manage speed. So now it's complaining. Doesn't matter. There's our colleague.
Midland 426, turn left heading 110.
Right, or left 110, Midland 426.
Oh no, my mistake. Right heading 110, of course.
Well, it's worth checking because they might have wanted you to do a full orbit, but they would normally specify that because it would be unusual. So if they... It's never obvious if it's definitely left or right, so good to ask. Paul Prawn says, I never imagined I would be able to play around with such a high fidelity sim in VR at home. It seemed too much to learn in 2 videos. That's great, thank you Paul Prawns. Glad it's worked for you. Appreciate it. And yeah, VR is quite something.
Easy 5707, leaving my airspace, monitoring Nikon 122.8, bye bye. Ryanair 9 Delta Mike, contact Praha radar 127.
Well, soon, until we can do that.
Bye bye.
Not long now.
Contact Praha radar 17575, Ryanair 9 Delta Mike, you can show.
There's such a queue. That's great.
Correction, descent to flight level 170.
I think there's 8 of us today.
Descent level 170.
Excellent. There's a Speedbirds, 2 Speedbirds,
Speedbird, correction,
3 Speedbirds,
999, resume on navigation direct to Budex.
4 Midlands.
Resume on navigation to Budex, 999, thank you.
Man,
322, leaving my airspace, monitor Unicom 122.8, bye-bye.
Unicom, Midland 322, bye.
ČSA 777, pojíždíte na
322, I think that's 322 ahead of us.
Oznamte připravení k odletu.
Na vyčkávací kvadráte Alfa, 427, oznámím.
Yeah, 322's been sent out already.
Midland 427, leaving my airspace, monitor Unicom 122.8, bye-bye.
1228, Midland 427, thanks, mate. So I'm going to stay at 310. I'm going to go up to Mach decimal 8, which is a ludicrous descent speed. And then after Budex, we're just effectively, well, we're going to carry on this next leg after Ladog, really. So let's try and judge this properly. We're 120 miles from the ILS, effectively. We need about 90 plus 10. We need about 100. So we're all good. We're all good. And we'll stick in a shortcut shortly. And we're going to go down at such high speed, we'll have a very good rate of descent. Roy says 7 miles ahead of you, but we'll do the full approach. Oh, well, there you go. No problem at all. I reckon we'll be able to overtake you, Rory, and you'll be able to follow us in on the shortcut with my current plan, my master plan here. Another stunning vista. This is exactly, yeah, exactly what it looks like when you get the separate layers. Love it. Nikolai, I'm very good. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming along. Great to see you. We are currently trying to cheat our way to the front of the queue, which I think we're going to manage. See how we're at climb thrust and we're just not accelerating. You just don't have that much energy up here. Richard says, when they can manage more detailed cloud edges, it'll be breathtaking. Are they working on that? Yeah, I see what you mean. Oh, now you've pointed it out. Still, it's very good. But yeah, like a nice cumulus, crisp-edged cumulus. That sort of thing we don't see much of, I suppose. We might not manage this, actually. 10 miles is quite a lot to make up. Anyway, I'd say we've got 5,000 feet spare. 6,000 feet spare.
Answer, Midlands 999.
Fierce thousands, altitude 250, so we're going to start down.
To 170 by Pushback.
Entered us data because we changed the arrival, of course. No, we didn't. It's in the wind. In fact, I don't know why it's saying that. Everything's in. Let's do direct to. (972), 4,000 feet. Yep, I think that'd be good. Then this does happen and you have to solve it, you know. But if you know it's coming. Maybe they don't do this in Vienna. I suspect we're actually going to carve through some different countries' airspace doing this. Maybe not. Well, I suppose you go into... I don't know. No, maybe not. Maybe not. Anyway. You can see now we're actually below profile. That arrival had some altitude restrictions forcing us down early. Which we could tell, like I said, when we had 120 miles until the ILS point, we knew we had plenty of room. MSGN says, I think even though it sometimes feels a bit slow, they're doing a good job at making this in better and better. Yeah, I think... I mean, you can't say that Microsoft Flight Simulator is bad value. What you get is incredible. they've also done well to not turn it into just a game. It does maintain its simulator credentials. It's drawn a huge number of people into it. It's available on console, which is, you know, amazing for so many people who don't have gaming PCs. There's our colleague over there. Oh, just disappeared. There they are. Oh, I see. Only when you zoom out you can see them. There you are. But what... And in terms of scenery and weather engine, unmatched. Just so good. Some things that bother me about it. I don't know why we don't have a replay. I don't know how long we can talk about the replay. I still find the ground friction, it really depends on the aeroplane, which seems to be less the case in X-Plane. So crosswinds and so on really... And developers do a great job at tuning it, but it does rely on the developers tuning it properly. I can forgive the long load times and so on, because obviously there is a lot to load. Sky Dolly is amazing replay. Okay. Is it maybe time to move on from Flight Recorder? I do like Flight Recorder. I'm its biggest fan. Here we go. Screaming in decimal 8. And it should convert to speed and not let us overspeed, because obviously it's going to have to keep raising that airspeed as we descend to keep decimal 8. 60 miles, 27,000 feet. Yeah, all looking good. Sky Dolly. Okay, I'll look up Sky Dolly. Goodness me. Sorry. I went quiet there just looking at Sky Dolly. It's quite a big part of making the videos. So if I can find it and an easy way to do it, this could be good. So can you play back several flights at the same time with Sky Dolly? Because that would be really something else. That would be amazing news. I have some good ideas for that. It looks like you might be able to. Very good. Okay, thank you for that. I'll have to look that one up and spend a bit of time with it. I mean, Flight Recorder has been amazing, and it's been out a long time, so... Right, down to 100s. Oh. And we're going to manage now. Thrust idle des. And you'll watch now as it... yeah, it complains. Yeah, anyway, that Sky looks very good. Thank you for that. Richard Dusty says, last time I tried it, had stuttery issues, but that was some time back. Oh no, Tower's online. Oh dear, they're going to see what I was doing. Igloo says, no, we're not. It's not going to like this. It's going to probably overspeed. Oh, it's doing a good job. Okay, keep an eye on it. It can do formation flying with other pilots. Very good. Okay, interesting, interesting. Igloo says, with Phoenix, the only thing you need to do is reversers, which will do the spoilers. Every other plane that I'm used on does everything automatically. Okay, yeah, so I have to do it with Flight Recorder, but Flight Recorder I have to do flaps and lights and everything as well. Speaking of which, I need to get it running. It's that time. Flat 3 landing, by the way, so 10 degrees pitch limit. Expecting it to look a little nose high on final, and a little less of a flare. Otherwise, pretty straightforward, hopefully. Yeah, my YouTube chat is not working at all, so apologies for that. Nikolai says, on the Airbus, do you have to turn off the centre fuel tanks at any point if fuel runs out? Nope. All automatic. So the centre tank pumps we leave in auto, and on the fuel page you'll see they're not running because the tank's empty. Does it on its own. It can get confused sometimes if there's like 10 kilos sloshing around and they sort of turn on and then complain there's low pressure. That sort of thing. Here we go. So it's converted to speed, but the descent speed planned is, what is it? 343 knots, which is just hopeless. So let's put that back to 330, which is even a bit fast. And now that will come back, but it will probably complain about drag. Wild Rumble's off to dinner. Thanks, Wild Rumble. See you next time. Enjoy your dinner. Trust idle. Yeah, this is good. Heating up the airframe by 20 degrees. And that's exactly the risk of doing this, where it will go through that top one if there's any turbulence at all. Then you're overspeeding. And he says, just check the VA site, 17 new pilots in Streamside. Excellent. There we go. That's great. That serious pilot says, yes, got my daughter to bed and made it back for the approach. I'll take that as a win. Well done. Thanks for joining us. Excellent. Let's get the replay recording. Good. No snow here. Is there an 80s now? Oh, there is. There we go. Papa. 3434 Triple 110. Oh, so actually we are going to an altitude. So set QNH. Oh no, just put standards. Well, we know what the QNH is because it's written here. 1017. Very similar to what London was. Good stuff. So it's slow down to 250. I'm going to keep high speed. We'll be well ahead of the others by the time we get down there. And MSA in this sector 395. So let's go down to 5. Lauren B says there was snow in Innsbruck yesterday morning at least. Had a lovely approach down a cloudy in valley. Very nice, yeah. We don't talk about Innsbruck though. That was years ago now. Richard says we've got snow forecast on 28th. Where's that, Richard? All across southern England. Oh dear. Oh well. Temperatures look like they should be okay. There's 10,000 feet. 5,000. LS buttons coming on. Get the passengers strapped in. Yeah, let's run the approach checklist. So, approach ECAM status is checked. All good. 4.1 tons of fuel. Approach type and runway RLS runway 34 is in there. Minimum, we've got our 794 Barrow. Approach phase. Let's do it now then. Speed limit exceeded. Yes, that's fine. Approach phase is active. And Barrow F QNH 1217. As the approach checklist complete. Now, I know there's no doubt some of you are thinking, why are you so fast below 10,000 feet? Well, if air traffic let you, you're allowed. Some airlines will have speed limits of their own that override that. Lauren says, was landing 2.6 on the straight in RMP, so it wasn't too challenging. Clouds were only overcast at 1900. Oh, very nice. It is spectacular. No worries, Captain Wozza. You're very welcome. Thanks for setting it up. Yeah, Simon Forrester talks about the red out and ILS being wrong in many Microsoft Flight Simulator airports. It's true in X-Plane as well. It's a known thing we've seen before. Right, we're actually incredibly fast here. So managed speed, I'm going to put it into heading. And we're in VS, so let's slow right down now. VS 500, speed brakes are out. We are standing on the brakes. We are 11 miles out, 6,000 feet. We know we're 500 feet lower. So once that speed gets back, we can make the turn in. I just didn't want to do it on its own. We'll do it all as one go. I want it to sequence past the 972 to the 971 as well. See what happens here. Stephen said, when you said you were too hungry, I thought you said you were going too hungry. I was a bit worried about your geography. Well, I'm sure I've said worse things. Right, let's do that. Inset now. Round we go. It's 3-4, so it'll be 3-7, so it'll be heading 010 for 30 degrees. Let's get the first stage of flap out. Arm approach. Should really wait until you're pointing towards the airfield. But yes, Flight Simulator and X-Plane have a thing where we've seen the glide slopes wobble at the very end. You sort of just have to ignore it. I think, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens on this one. It was very noticeable in X-Plane every time as well. There's Lockstar. We are high on the glide slope. So I'm going to arm approach, wind the altitude out of the way, pull the vertical speed. Let's start with 2,000. I think we're far enough away. And let's get flap 2 out. We've got the speed back. I'm going to put the speed brakes out here to stop it accelerating while we do this. And I'm going to put the gear down as well because we are now sitting high. Let's get the nose lights on, landing lights out. See if we can make this work. There's glide slope star, 180 knots at 11 miles, no problem. So speed brakes coming in. I use the gear there just because we were significantly off that glide slope, so it's just the easy answer. It's great. The gear is such a stable way to slow down the Airbus. If you try and use speed brakes, it can get a bit awkward if you're moving them in and out a lot. Sometimes you try, but when you're that high, it's quite obvious. Just drop the gear. 180 at 10 miles. There you go, 4,000 feet. There's glide slope. We'll put the going altitude in now, 5,000 feet, and let's arm those speed brakes. 1194 for tower. But they weren't expecting us first. Vienna Tower, good evening. Midland 427, ILS runway 34 at 9 miles.
Midland 427, Winter, very good evening. Winter 360 degrees, 1 minute, runway 34, you're clear to land.
Good land, 34, Midland 47, thank you. Right. We're clear to land. And I'm delaying the flaps here. If I was going flap full, I would delay it for a bit longer, just because flap full is a lot of drag. However, in this case, I'm actually going to just go to flap 3. Because it adds almost no drag, and the risk is if you delay it, you're going to forget it about 1,000 feet, because it looks like you're already back at the approach anyway. But there we go. Thanks so much for the subscription, and let's go to our landing checklists. Order brake, low. Missed approach altitude, 5,000 feet set. And ECAM landing, no blue. Landing check's complete. There we go. This reminds me of the racing arrival at Tirana a couple of years ago. They did to Ziegler. There we go, yeah. Yeah. No, it won't be the last time I do something like that. And he says, have to give a massive shout out to the team for the incredible work they put into this V8 and Dano Virtual. Best team out there. Yeah, no, yeah, agreed. You guys worked so hard. It's absolutely brilliant. How about a VA Monarchs, Mark? What about Air Tours? I'm waiting for an Air Tours as well. I've got a little Air Tours 757 on my desk. Or on my computer screen. Anyway. recording replay. So flat 3. So again, expecting those to be high. Now, this is sitting a bit artificially high. That's because of ground speed mini. We've got 30 knots headwind. It's 11 knots on the ground. Yeah, which matches up there. Matches the ATIS 34 10 11. So that's going to actually reduce, and the nose is going to slowly come up to, I'm expecting around 5 degrees, something like that on final. Lovely. Love the different textures on the Fenix. Not all Airbuses are like that, but the older ones certainly are. This generation would be. Oh, what a treat. What a simulator. I don't think I have any scenery for Vienna. No, it looks very default. So there's the exits coming off. So yeah, as we were discussing earlier, the glide slope's going to go a bit funny. So we are stable at 1,000 feet. Yeah, as we get in a bit closer, and it's going to mess it up. The trick is, when you get below 200 feet, you're not... Yeah, Cat 3B stuff, you can use it, but below 200 feet, PAPIs and... the glide slope aren't really in your scan when you're manually landing. Now it is a problem if you're auto landing, and that's true. But ooh, there you go. As the wind's dropping off, 20 knots now, and nose is moving up. But yeah, we don't look at the PAPIs particularly. Some pilots get drawn into them anyway, and it's sort of an urge we have to fight. They're great here. But once you get in towards the flare, you're not using them anymore. You're driving into that touchdown zone. So if you see, you know, eventually the PAPIs are going to go 4 reds or 4 whites potentially, but you might only be 10 feet out. It's just how it is. Autopilot off. So we'll see here. So now, pretty much from here, we're just driving it into that touchdown zone. So I'm not changing anything. 800 feet per minute is working just fine. Maybe a bit high actually. It's sinking down in. But there goes the glide slope up high, which we don't need to follow. We just need to keep driving it down. Now they're at 4 whites. Not an issue.
50, 40, 30, 20.
Idle. A little bit of a... Oh dear. Float along there.
5.
There we go. And touchdown. Spoilers. Reverse green and decel. Thrust levers are so out of line. I've seen that for a long time. Yeah, so they aren't great in flight sims. There's no doubt about it. Brakes released. 70 knots. We're at forward idle. Off we go. I'm gonna leave everything. Oh no, I have to do everything shut down for the virtual airline, of course. See where they send us. Welcome to Vienna.
Land 322 to pre-swing plane at about 7 gate, wind 360 degrees, 1 minute, runway 34, you're clear to land.
Clear line, runway 34, Midland 322.
Midland 427, welcome to Vienna, taxi right on Delta, left Lima to position, Delta 24.
Thank you. We're going to take right Delta, left Lima, Delta 24. Midland 427. Now, that's what we didn't get ready. This is Delta, that's good. So we made, first guess was right. You'd never do that in real life, you'd never guess. But it would be signposted. These default airports unfortunately aren't, and it's a bit of a nuisance in Microsoft Flight Simulator, frankly. There we go, Delta. Then we need to find Lima, which isn't on that chart. Or that chart. Ah, where's the chart? Delta 24. Where's Delta 24? I'm slowing right down. So that's over on the main terminal. So there's Lima. Okay. Okay, so
Midland 427, you missed Lima. Take the next one left again. So you're going to the straight, next one left again on Echo, and then right on Lima. So you're making a U-turn on the other taxiway.
Apologies, thanks so much. Left, and then right on Lima, Midland 47. Yeah, that's what you get for taxiing when you don't know where you're going. Right, so landing lights off, strobes to auto, leave the turn-offs on, put the nose to taxi, get the APU up and running, flaps to 0, turn off the flap 3, oh, not the GPS, there we go, speed brakes down, good stuff. Remember, Shane says showing us why you never, yes, exactly, that was an illustrative lesson. Don't know why it's reversing to VS100 off an RLS, but there we go, that's all off. Oh, what's going on with these? Look at the shadow. Very good. What bizarre problem to suddenly have with the thrust levers? Another BMI over there, excellent. So we're going Delta 24, yes, over on the main bit. That's James vacating over there.
Midland 322, welcome to Vienna, taxi right Delta, left Lima to position Delta 28.
Right, so it is on the sign, Lima.
Delta 28, Midland 322, thanks.
That, I think that sign's slightly misplaced. Lima is effectively the inner. Mike is the outer, so I think this is Lima here. There we go. Delta 24 is on the very end of the east pier. James is control ignore me. Oh no. I did have real taxiways, I just don't have it installed at the moment.
07 established on the ILS for 3-4, and I've got 14 miles to run.
2307, winter, very good evening.
Yeah, good point.
Approach
Roy.
number 2, winter 360 degrees, 10 knots.
Continue approach number
Max
2.
says cheers from there. Cheers to you. Yeah, this is the default one. Yeah, it's not particularly good.
Tower hello, this is Ewings 8 Echo at gate Foxtrot B6. Request I've actually destination.
Simon, what's the arrival? Oh, so Simon is on Echo 52. So that must be. Is that Simon there?
Quebec is now current. You cleared Stuttgart. Sowell 1 Charlie, Clement initially 5,000 feet.
Yep, that was Simon. Excellent.
New information is Quebec, climb to 5,000 feet, departure, SID will be Sovi 1 Charlie departure route and squawk 1000.
Right, I think we've done everything we need to do for the airline. Let's do the after landing checklists. Zero lights set, flaps 0, ground supports disarm, APU on,
Vienna Tower, Midland.
weather radar.
6 nautical mile,
Off.
Off.
Didn't use it for the whole flight. But the predicted wind chill would be running, so that does need to go off. And TCAS to stand by. After checks complete.
3401, Midland 46.
Long old taxi. James is caught up. Yeah, it's funny. I was saying in the podcast how I've never done the BMI stream. I don't think we've ever flown BMI on the channel. And here we are. The new V8 happened to be BMI. Just great. World works in mysterious ways. No, there won't be any way to see Echo 24, that's for sure. Oh, 28. Maybe I'm being too pessimistic. 24 should be straight in.
Midland 322, am I on standard Delta 28, did you say?
27.
Midland 322, Action, Delta 28.
24, there we go. Lights off. We're around of lines here. And he says, I was laughing when I listened to that, especially as I was thinking with the VA while it was on. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. Look at that shadow. Love that shadow. Don't like default airports. Unbelievable. What a mess. Welcome to Vienna. AP is available. Parking brake is on. Shutting down. And now we're going to get the old Microsoft page. Where's James Parks?
Aircraft 3 miles ahead, expect late landing soon.
Roger, EC2307.
There's the cones. Excellent. I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you so much to everyone for flying along and to the controller for looking after us. Let's disconnect from VATSIM. Oh no, before we do that, flight may now be ended. I'm going to file the pilot report for the boss to check, and now we're going to disconnect from VATSIM. So thank you to everyone for flying along. Real treat, as always, as more of our colleagues arriving. Excellent. And what I'll do is disconnect. And oh, they do deboarding. We won't do that. We'll do panel state ready. Activate. Just want to get the airplane back in the landing configuration, and then we'll go and look at the replay. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the flight. I really enjoyed it. Again, if you want to join British Midland Virtual, you can do that. !BMI, and it will become available for you. I tell you what I didn't do. I didn't tell FS Traffic where we were going, so we're missing out on FS Traffic here. You have to tell it in that little window. That's my mistake. Flaps are at 3. Transport is armed. Put those up. There we go. Now this felt suspiciously to me like a bit of an increase in wind. Now that's always the pilot's excuse, obviously. Let's see what happens. Andy says pilot report all gone through, all green again. Excellent, Andy. Thanks very much. Glad you enjoyed it, Ed. Yeah. Now I'm gonna use the pilot excuse for this one, which is a bit of an early flare. Yeah. Maybe. No, maybe not. Maybe not. Just a bit of an early flare, really. But there we go. If we go back on final, let's have a look what we look out the window. So we haven't got a glide slope, but the Pappies, yeah, we were pretty high. We're a bit high. It went to 4 wides. Nose up too much. 600, 500, yeah, too little. But yeah, like 4 wide, it doesn't matter, you know, you just shouldn't be looking at this at this point.
40, 30, 20, retard.
The reason we landed at the end of the touchdown was this was just too much. Held it too high, nose high here.
5.
There we go. Right, let me... That there. Arm the spoilers. Okay. Something like that. Maybe a bit later. We're a bit slower on this approach. There we go. George, glad you enjoyed it. Right, everyone, thank you all so much for coming along on the flight today. I've really enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed it. Like I said, if you'd like to join BMI Virtual, they've made an announcement in the Discord, but also there's !BMI, and you'll get a link to it. Thank you all so much for coming along. Thank you for the very kind donations. Thank you for the moderators for looking after us. Thank you to the BMI Virtual team for setting up another virtual airline for us to enjoy. Thank you to everyone watching along and chatting along. Really appreciate it. Do please check out the podcast. It's available on Spotify. It's called From Flight Level 320, or you can put 320 Sim Pilot in. or you can see my announcements on Discord to get the RSS link, or you can find it on YouTube as well if you like to watch on YouTube, and then add it onto your RSS feed or whatever from there. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. More episodes of that coming very soon. And what I'll do now is say, please do keep safe and well. Have a very good evening, and we'll see you in another video or live stream or podcast soon. And 4 Prawns, thanks so much. I'm so sorry I missed that. 4 Prawns, thank you for the $40 tip. Really, really appreciate it. 4 Prawns says, many thanks, 320 Sim Pilot and the ever-reliable FO. Always interesting and fun. 4 Prawns, so kind of you. Really, really, really appreciate it. And thank you for supporting the channel as much as you have. And thank you for coming along today. And yeah, the first officer has left for now. But she will make an appearance soon, I'm sure. But thank you so much, 4 Prawns. That's very, very kind. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you for supporting the channel. So let's us, and I'm sorry about the chat, by the way. YouTube has not been playing ball today as much as I'd like, but there we go. But yeah, enjoy the rest of the evening. Keep safe and well. Thank you again, and thank you, 4 Prawns again. Really appreciate it. And here's the outro music. Speak to you all soon. Bye bye.